everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Happy Monday. Brooke Grimsley, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. How are we doing? How was the weekend?
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. It was a great weekend for me. It was beautiful outside. Went to a Riley Green concert. I think it was a pretty good weekend. Watched a good movie.
Isn't he still playing for the Tigers?
No, this is somebody else, Randy.
Oh.
This is a country music singer who also started with a duck call. I guess he's into duck hunting, so that was something that I learned this weekend. I have to admit, I went to the concert. I wasn't super familiar with him exactly. I knew a couple of his songs, but it was more that I went with my friend, and it was a pretty good concert.
Oh, I like to hear.
Yeah.
By the way, the apparent other Riley Green this year for the Tigers with a 775 OPS. He's in a bunch of home runs, right? 37 homers. Or no.
Wow.
21 homers. 20 homers, 66 RBIs for the other Riley Green.
Hey, that'd be pretty good for the Cardinals.
Yeah, we'd take that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would. How was your weekend?
It was good. I was just telling Matthew, I kind of OD'd on football. Probably, I don't know.
You OD'd on
I feel like I did a little too much football watching.
Is that
And Matthew
ever
said
a
there's
thing?
no way. Matthew said there's no way you can do that.
No. Did you feel like hungover afterwards? Like, why do you use the phrasing OD?
I feel like I was totally lazy and got nothing accomplished.
Week 2 NFL, Week 3 college football. There's no such thing as too much football right now. This is prime time. I mean, this is time, Randy. Let's go.
Yep. I'm good with it. I did not, fortunately, OD on baseball.
If anything, you didn't get enough, especially with the Cardinals offense this weekend. They were swept by the Blue Jays in Toronto.
Back under 500 now, losing yesterday by a score of 3-2. It has been a tough go for a franchise that is accustomed to winning a lot.
Yeah.
And now they're under 500 again. Haven't had back-to-back complete losing seasons since 58-59. Did have losing seasons back-to-back when they were affected by strikes in 94 and 95. But the Cardinals are on an historic pace, and it's a weird feeling heading into the final homestand of the season and really having no chance. And by the way, Milwaukee wound up losing yesterday, but Milwaukee's magic number to eliminate the Cardinals from the division playoff race is 1. And they're doing that with a dozen games left in the season. That just doesn't happen to the Cardinals very often.
Yeah. Offensively, it's just head-scratching at this point. I don't even know if it's head-scratching, more or less that it's just confusing as to why they continue to have the same struggles we see over and over again. They scored a combined 7 runs in the 3-game series, going 2 of 27 with runners in scoring position. That's been the theme this entire season. And you heard Ollie talk about it all weekend long. This is him yesterday talking about the issues with runners in scoring position.
Felt like we gave ourselves every opportunity to stay in that game, from Miles throwing 5 to going straight to Matt. Kit getting his lane, JoJo coming in, walking Guerrero a couple times just to give the left on left an opportunity to keep the game there. Here's the thing with our pen, man. It gets kind of amplified a little bit when they give up a run, and it's because the margins are so thin for them. It's been that way all year, and you got to give them credit. They've done a hell of a job for a long time now of giving us every bit of a chance to win, right? So anytime they give up a run or two, for the most part, other teams do that, and they're still up 2 runs, they're still up 3 runs, and it's okay. But our guys, 1 run flips the game, and it's constant. So there's a lot of pressure on those guys, but they've handled it really well. I'm proud of them. Offensively, we just haven't had the ability to execute. Plain and simple. There's no talking around it or excusing it. We just don't score enough runs right now to win games, especially go on a run.
So there is no way to talk around it, right? And we've been talking about it all season long, but at this point, what else can you say about this team offensively other than what can you change for next season?
Well, here's what I remember. I do know for a fact that last year during the winter meetings, that after the Cardinals had signed to the 3 starting pitchers, John Mozeliak talked about how excited he was about the offense. And then he reiterated that excitement, I believe, with us on opening day. Said he thought the offense was going to be really good. So he thought he had collected good, talented offensive players who have not produced. So in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, but I don't know how you can get anything else out of this, either he misevaluated those offensive players or those offensive players have not been prepared properly to be good offensive players. One or the other has to be the truth, right? Either they aren't good and he misevaluated them, or they are good and the coaches and the people that he has preparing to them to be their best aren't doing the job that they should be doing to the level that needs to be there for the Cardinals to succeed offensively.
That's the thing, is that which one is it? Because I would rather it be that we're just not maximizing the talent, which sounds terrible. You should be maximizing your talent, but I'd rather it be that than this group is just really untalented and they have misevaluated every single one of these players, because then you'll have to start over from scratch. Somebody said from the 3 and 4, how is it head scratching? They don't have the talent. It's that easy. It's called talent.
Okay, well, I would look at Arenado and Goldschmidt, two of the best players in baseball over a decade who have fallen off a cliff. I think Mason Wynn is good. I have seen Brendan Donovan perform at a high level. He had a .394 on base in his rookie year, played most of the season. He was very good last year until he got hurt. I believe that Alec Burleson is a good offensive player. Maybe not great, maybe not an impact offensive player, but a really good offensive player. I have seen Jordan Walker in the second half last year perform at a very high level. Now the Cardinals have lost Wilson Contreras this year, who, by the way, might be back. I don't know why they'd bother, but might be back by the end of the season. So I look at those players who have had success at the major league level, and I do see hitting talent. Now, maybe the texter is looking at something different than what I'm looking at, but I've seen them perform physically. So I would respectfully disagree with that assessment. I think they do have talent, and I think it's something else.
And the runners in scoring position issue has been ongoing. We talked about this last year, the situational hitting, the clutch hitting. You're really lacking it from this group right now. From the 6-3-6 third option, the players aren't doing their job.
Well, then you have to have somebody to get them to do their job, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to blame the players, but they didn't bring themselves here and they aren't coaching themselves. So if the players aren't doing their job, if we aren't doing our job and we're still here, that's somebody else's fault. It's not ours. Our job is to be here and to perform, but somebody's got to be here to get us to perform at a high level. That's why you have a person at the top called a manager. To manage people and get the most out of them.
Yeah. Well, and typically in the business world, too, they have the bigger salary. But in this situation, of course, it's the players. And they do. Nobody's saying that they don't have to execute at the end of the day. But when you start to see a drop-off like this offensively with not just one, not just two, but a lot of your players, and you have to question really what's going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with Ollie at all. He's bewildered as to why they aren't performing at a higher level. So at some point, though, somebody has to figure it out, because you just can't be as inept as this Cardinal offense has been and then accept it and say, well, we'll get them next year. And
I just keep coming back to this point. The entire season, if you look at their batting average and OPS relative to the rest of the league, they are just slightly above league average in both 2023 and 2024. Then you look at their numbers with runners in scoring position, and they are 28% worse than league average with runners in scoring position. So that drop off, in my opinion, is not explained by a lack of talent, because there no other team in the league has that drop off.
Yeah, that feels like an approach issue.
Exactly.
College football, Mizzou over Boston College, 27-21. Mizzou, the only top 10 team to play and beat a top 25 team. Yet they fall from 6th to 7th, with Tennessee passing them up. The Vols did rip then number 24 NC State in week 2, 54-10, and then against Kent State the other night, they grabbed a 65-0 lead. They executed an onside kick up 30-0 in the first quarter.
Sportsmanship was not a thing in that game, right?
Yeah, no, it really is not. I think Josh Heupel that's passed him by, which is fine. You'll get yours eventually. But Mizzou does win and improve to 3-0, and so does Illinois. The Illini are 3-0 and in the top 25 also.
Congratulations to Illinois. They deserve it. And for Mizzou, too. That was a very scary game to start with at the beginning there, of course, if you're watching, but they were still able to pull it off. That was their first real test, I believe, of the season. I'm not taking anything away from the other games. Obviously, they were able to shut them out, and run up the score. But at the same time, I think this was their first real test of the season. And Boston College, that is a really good team over there. Their quarterback is a sneaky good quarterback that they have, and that was one of the first premier quarterbacks that I believe that they will probably face for the rest of the season too. He's up there in the tier of, I think, one of the really good quarterbacks right now in college football.
No doubt about it. In soccer, Saturday night over at City Park, Minnesota United over SC by a score of 3-1. Just a really tough go for City SC. They did get a goal from Toy Shirt, but man, what we had last year, nobody that, well, Leuven, I guess, last year, but the other people that contributed to the great success of 2023, aside from Leuven and Berkey, are either complete non-factors or aren't even here anymore.
Yeah, well, this is a team that feels like it's still in transition right now, and Rocchio, you can definitely weigh in more on this, but you bring in a lot of the newer guys coming in, and you still have that transition of Hackworth taking over, and I just see this as a team in transition.
Yeah, they're not very good defensively.
Yeah.
And that just continues to be the biggest issue. A lot of people wanted to complain about the offense because they only scored one goal. I just don't think that was the issue in yesterday's game. A lot of people are annoyed by the reintegration of João Klaus into the starting lineup. He led the team in key passes, and I thought he was pretty solid. John Hackworth was pretty raving about his what the offenses looked like adding him in, and so I don't think, again, it was another one where they only scored one goal, but the offense was not the biggest issue. This defense just isn't good enough right now, and that's how you get 3 goals scored on you by a team that shouldn't be better than you, but is this year. And that's a tough thing to swallow.
We'll talk later about the weekend in the NFL. Week 2 Sunday, not a great day for the Titans.
No, why did you have to lead with that?
Because
Why did you have to lead with that?
Well, I'll talk about my team and things we loved about the weekend.
Ooh, the Cardinals. Hey, it also kind of my team, too, for fantasy football, which I will talk about here in a little bit with the things that we loved from this weekend. But, hey, Marvin Harrison Jr., if you get him the ball, things go well.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was like a top 5 pick for a reason in the NFL draft. I don't know.
And the Niners lose on the road at Minnesota 23-17. Minnesota may have lost Justin Jefferson for a while, though, with a quad injury. The Patriots, after winning against Cincinnati in the opener, lose in overtime 23-20 to Seattle. And the Giants are just hapless. Giants, first team in league history to score 3 touchdowns and not allow a touchdown, yet lose the game. Austin Siebert, Belleville West, 7 field goals, including the game winner for the Commanders, 21-18 over the Giants.
Oh, yeah. Things are not going well for them whatsoever.
No, I think that might be a place where the coach gets whacked.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, Randy.
So we are off and running here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Matthew, and Randy coming up. 3 things we love from the weekend on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Okay, if your home needs repairs, maybe an update or a remodel, and you don't want to pile on debt, you need to check out Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit. With Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit, you can borrow up to 90% of the current equity in your home and pay interest-only monthly payments for the first 10 years. Plus, there's no annual fees or prepayment penalties. Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit offers flexible borrowing, which means you can borrow as much as or as little as you need to make your house a home. And you can pay your balance at any time during the draw period and then borrow it again, which puts you in control of your finances. To learn more about Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit, stop by one of the 14 St. Louis area branches or visit togethercu.org. It's an amazing thing. The interest-only home equity line of credit from Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA. Brooke and Randy and the three things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN.
Number 3.
All right, Brooke, what do you got?
Number 3 for me is that I just love how crazy college football is. Now, Randy, I know that you said that you OD'd on football in general this weekend. I can't get enough of it, especially college football, because there's just so many crazy stories to follow. And I love a good upset story. And I also love when Florida loses as a state, but especially the teams. I don't know if you guys saw this past weekend, but Florida State losing to Memphis this weekend, 20-12 was the final score. FSU starting out the season with three straight losses. And they also, get this, paid Memphis $1.3 million to play in Tallahassee. $1.3 million, and you lose. Now, Memphis is a very talented team, so I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But my goodness, Randy, $1 million is how much you paid them to come, and you lost to them? Now, Peter Burns, I have to give him credit here because I thought this was hilarious, and I think this is a great suggestion. Peter Burns of SEC Network, I'm sure you guys have seen him on there. He had a great suggestion on social media. He said, if you lose, you have to hand the team one of those Happy Gilmore huge checks for the full amount at the 50-yard line after the game.
I think that's a great idea.
I think if it's an upset, if you paid a team a lot of money, especially $1 million to come, and you lose to them, then I feel like that's something that you should do after the game.
I think that would be very fun. I think all the fans would enjoy that.
Probably not.
Well, hey, Brooke, my number 3 is to watch the ascent again of Jordan Walker. He's had hits in each of his last couple of games, had a double yesterday, and has had RBIs in each of the last 2. And maybe he should have been here. Maybe he would have enhanced his abilities and his viability as a major leaguer if he would have been here all year long. But at least he is getting an opportunity to play at this level, and he's getting a couple of hits. Is he what you want? Is he a dominant player yet? No. But at least you can see glimpses of that talent that we saw down the stretch last year, and hopefully he's regaining the ability to apply that talent to make himself a productive major league player.
The Cardinals were right. He can handle adversity well. The thing I just hate, though, is that it was the Cardinals that put him through a lot of that adversity, Randy, especially this season. The last time that they called him up, there was really no reason to have him be a guy that's just coming off the bench. There was no reason for that whatsoever. I'm glad that he's kind of found his groove here, but it does make me wonder if they just should have stuck with him to begin with, like a lot of the other people did. If you look at the Diamondbacks, Corbin Carroll got off to an awful start. He was hitting below 200, and they stuck with him, and he was able to produce during the second half of the season. I know that Jackson Churio didn't get off to a great start. The Brewers stuck with him. I think that there is something there mentally to showing like, hey, we know that you're going to go through some adversity, some ups and downs, but we're going to work with you through this. They did the same thing with Nolan Gorman. Nolan Gorman struggled, and they stuck with him for a really long time.
The Cardinals inflicted a lot more adversity on Jordan Walker than he could have himself by being at the major league level.
Yeah, basically.
Because you sit at AAA and think I'm a failure, right?
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2 for me, I'm going to stick with the Cardinals because Thomas Saggese, with his first big league home run, he's had a lot of firsts here lately, and I'm just excited to see what Saggese can do. I think defensively he's done really well over at second base, and I'm excited to see how he is as a player. I think that he's everything that I expected, and this is honestly going quicker than I expected for him.
Yeah, me too. And it's another interesting thing. You hear organizationally about why they didn't bring him up, and you hear about his defense. Well, clearly he can play defense. He has that physical skill. He's been a really good hitter. He was the MVP last year of the Texas League, I believe it was. And he's a guy that can hit. He's just a pure hitter. And now you hear about all the attributes that he brings to the table, being an old school type player, being a winning kind of player. He's the kind of player the Cardinals need, and they've needed all year long, and we had to wait until mid-September to see him.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about a lot of the guys, huh?
Yeah, I would say so. Brooke, my number 2 is Mizzou's victory, and I'm bewildered about voters dropping them in the polls. They were the only top 10 team to face a top 25 team, and they beat them. At Boston College, and I don't blame voters for not watching every game. You can't watch every game. Boston College is pretty darn good, and they're going to be good by the end of the season. They'll probably battle for the ACC title. Bill O'Brien has them playing old Parcells, Belichick, physical football. He's doing it in a hurry, and they're going to wind up being pretty good. After this game, they play Michigan State next Saturday, and they should be able to handle Michigan State at home. Then they get Western Kentucky. They're at Virginia, winnable. They're at Virginia Tech, winnable. They play 19th ranked Louisville, and that might be the game that determines what they are. And then they wind up with Syracuse, SMU, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh. It might be that Boston College goes through this whole season with only one loss, and that being the one to the University of Missouri.
That is a really good team over there, especially their quarterback. We've talked about him before, but Thomas Castellanos, he is so talented. And I know it wasn't a great start to the game, and maybe that's what they're trying to factor in there with the voting. Let me just say something real quick. The rankings really don't matter.
No, they don't.
There's always just really confusing ones every single year. And honestly, a team that I know that there's a lot of hatred towards Tennessee, I'm going to try to deflect a little bit here. I think a team that's on fraud alert a little bit more might be Ole Miss, honestly. Ole Miss is ranked higher than both of them, and they really haven't played quality opponents. Now, have they really ran up the scoreboard? Yes. I mean, they just finished with a win against, I think, Middle Tennessee not too long ago, 52-3, the final score in that one. They beat Wake Forest 40-6, and then they faced Furman, and they beat that one 76-0. So maybe there's something there about running up the scoreboard that they're factoring into this, but I think a lot of this will sort itself out. Tennessee, while they also have Alabama on their schedule, they also have Georgia. Mizzou doesn't have to face Georgia this year. I think they will all even out by the end of the season.
Yeah, they will. And with the current setup, if you don't lose, you're going to be in the playoff. And if you don't lose in the playoff, you're going to be the champion. So if you don't like the way the rankings are set up now, just wait until the committee gets a hold of you.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
It'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Number 1 for me, Randy.
Number 1.
Will be... It was a great rebound for Justin Herbert's Elevator Club against, what was the team that I was facing this weekend?
Taking shots with Ricky.
Oh, wait, that's your team, Randy.
Yeah.
Don't you remember last week where you pointed out that I had the lowest points in the entire fantasy league
and I
for 101 ESPN?
Yeah,
and you had the highest. So you were up on your high horse a little bit over there. And now this week, I think I finished second with the most points in the entire league.
I don't think we're done yet.
We're not, but I was checking all last night to see where everybody was at, and currently right now I'm right behind CD, who I think has a projection of 144 points, and I'm right at, I believe, 142, 43, something like that. But it was a great rebound, and it's because of Marvin Harrison Jr.
A couple long touchdowns from Saquon, and everything changes tonight.
Oh, no, please. I think how far behind me are you at this point?
I'm not
you don't
look.
even want to look.
I don't even want to look. Brooke, my number 1 is very simple. Arizona Cardinals 41, Los Angeles Rams 10.
Yes.
Yeah, good. It's good to see the Fighting Cronkies take that big hit. They're 0-2 now, by the way. Did you notice that? They're 0-2. And Arizona, They can play defense. They run to the ball, and they're little. You call them little people quarterback.
Little person.
Little
right.
person quarterback. Okay.
He's listed at 5'10", so he doesn't
He's
count.
probably about 5'7".
You're saying they lie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The St. Louis Rams had a rule that a player could not be less than 6 foot until London Fletcher went to Charlie Army and said, I'm 5'10". Let's be at 5'10". So, yeah, there used to be rules in place that you couldn't have a player less than, and Marshall's probably 5'8". Marshall Falk, listed at 5'11", I think. So, yeah, that happens a lot.
They're just, adding a few inches there.
Yeah. So with Kyler, might be 5'7" or so, but he can wing it and he can run.
He can move.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
And Marvin Harrison, there was a story yesterday that I saw that in the first week of the season, this is one of the things that bothers me about our overreaction, that Marvin Harrison was like the 10th slowest player among all wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. But then he runs he runs away from people for a 60-yard touchdown yesterday. The old St. Louis Cardinals, now they're the current Arizona Cardinals, they aren't going to be division champions, I don't think. But they're pretty good. They've got some fun and some verve. So they'll be fun to watch, and I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad too. It worked out great for me.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad they won the St. Louis Bowl. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you have to be super excited about the Rams in this start right now.
Oh, it's great, yeah. I don't even know who they play next, but I'm predicting a loss.
Let's see who they face.
Okay. I'm just saying go whomever. So, let's see. They've got the Niners.
Oh.
Niners are going to be angry, and then they go to Chicago. Bears will be better by then, won't they? They'll score like
possibly, yes.
13 points. And then the Packers at home. So, it'll be a Packers home game in LA, right?
Yeah.
So, this could be ugly. You lose a Hall of Famer, you lose one of the 3 best defensive players in the history of the league, and things are going to change for you.
Yeah.
So that's what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Next up, Missouri beat BC over the weekend, yet fell behind Tennessee in the poll. So how do you stay ahead in the polls? That's next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The St. Louis Cardinals are swept over the weekend by the Toronto Blue Jays. They will try to salvage a over 500 season as they start a series against the Pirates tonight. 6:45 first pitch. It'll be Paul Skeens facing off against Andre Palante. Skeens on the season 10-2 with a 2.10 ERA. He also has 151 strikeouts through 120 innings pitched. Also, big weekend in college football as both the Tigers and the Fighting Illini get big wins, and the Illini move into the top 25 poll. Tigers, as we're about to talk about here on the opening drive, moved down despite their victory, and it was probably the end of the playoff hopes as well for St. Louis City SC as they fall at home 3-1 to Minnesota United on Saturday night. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It was not pretty, wasn't our best performance top to bottom, but really responded. We hadn't been challenged all year, and I was concerned with so many new faces about what that response would be. And today, I think you saw a team that's committed to each other, a team that responds, a team that's never out of the fight. It was the first time that we had to face some adversity, and I think everybody kind of had to settle into what that fist fight was going to be. And that's really what happened. We kind of settled into what the fist fight was going to be and what we were going to have to do in order to respond. I knew it was going to. Obviously, I thought we would start faster than that, but we didn't, and so that's the response. Said in the locker room, it's great to be 3-0, but there's got to be a lot of improvement in order for us to take on the SEC, which is what next week is.
That's Eliah Drinkwitz after his team's victory over Boston College on Saturday, 27-21. And pretty much everybody in the Big Ten, or in the top 10, had a blowout this week. The two teams that didn't fell in the rankings. Number 1, Georgia, only beat Kentucky 13-12. Texas rolled UTSA, that's Texas San Antonio for the uninitiated, 56-7. Alabama went to Wisconsin, won big, 42-10. Ole Miss knocks off Wake Forest at home by a score of 40-6. It was Tennessee 71, Kent State nothing. Oregon over Oregon State 49-14, and 10th ranked Miami 62-0 over Ball State. And with their 71-0 win over Kent State, Tennessee passes Mizzou in the rankings. They move to number 6, and Mizzou falls to number 7. And oh, by the way, Georgia falls to number 2 because they only won by a point. And Texas, by beating Texas San Antonio, wins by a score of 56-7. I wonder if the move for scheduling might be to keep scheduling the little sisters of the poor and just rolling them rather than and give credit, by the way, to Alabama. They go to Wisconsin, and you never know what. Well, Wisconsin's generally pretty good. And then Wake Forest is, that's a worthy competition for Ole Miss. And Boston College is worthy competition for Mizzou. But when you're getting credit and rising in the rankings because you're playing Texas San Antonio or Kent State, that doesn't seem very logical to me on the part of the people who are voting for the top 25.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter, though, is the thing is that all these teams, every single team is doing this, other than some of the other ones, I will say, who are actually really making sure they're playing quality opponents early on in the season. Everybody's just kind of padding up their resume, because what matters at the end of the season is probably the amount of wins you have. You want to reduce your amount of losses, especially with this 12-team playoff format that we have. So you kind of have to pad your resume a little bit. That's why I pointed out Ole Miss and the teams that they were facing. They haven't really faced any quality opponents, and they've been running up the score. Tennessee, now they did beat NC State, which was at the time, I believe, a top 25 ranked team, and they put up 41 points on the road against them. And NC State is a pretty good team. I do think that Boston College, in a very weak ACC, they're the better team out of every single one of them. So I do understand the consternation, I guess the best way to put it. Why didn't this happen after week 2 when Tennessee beat NC State? Why did it happen this week after Mizzou beat a very quality opponent in Boston College? Maybe they were trying to factor in that it was a closer game than expected. Mizzou was down, but why don't they also factor in the fact that they were able to come back in that game and win it still?
Right, and scored, 21 in a row after being behind. I wonder what the voters are thinking. And again, they are impressed, obviously, by the
big scores at the end.
Yeah. And so I wonder, because I always used to think that the thing to do, and even after they went to the 12-team playoff, I thought, okay, if I'm a team and I know the committee is looking at the end of the year, I'm scheduling Power 4. Now, obviously, Mizzou didn't play Power 4 competition in their first 2 games. They played them in the 3rd game. But I wonder if the idea now might be to schedule FCS teams or lesser Power 4s, at least when you make the schedule, and avoid playing the big boys. Why should you schedule a top 10, top 25 team if it's not going to help you?
It will help you. I think that it will help you down the road, especially with Boston College. I think that that's a win that will help Mizzou's resume down the road here. Thomas Castellanos is a really good quarterback, and that is a premier quarterback that they face, and that was their first big test of the season. Now, Mizzou did play some easier opponents also to start the season, just like Tennessee. Both of them faced some really easy teams early on. That's why I pointed to Ole Miss's schedule in general, because they have faced nothing against my Blue Raiders, but they really didn't do much against Middle Tennessee. I mean, Middle Tennessee is kind of like an easy layup.
New coach, new program, just getting a new
Derek
program.
Mason, yeah.
Yeah, trying to get things implemented there.
Exactly.
There'll be a power before you know it.
But I think that if you're looking at the sportsmanship aspect of it, there definitely wasn't sportsmanship with Tennessee this past weekend where they ran up the score. Maybe another factor here, too, just throwing this out here, Tennessee has a really, really good quarterback that's in Heisman conversations right now with Nico. I know that you have a different way of seeing. It's Iama Leava.
I'm going to say it's I-M-A-L-E-A-V-A. I'm a Leva. He's going to enter the
Perfect for the transfer portal.
Yep, and he's going to say to Josh Heupel, I'm a Leva.
But if you have seen any highlights of Nico Iama Leava, he is really, really good and has also connected on a lot of deep passes. I think that is one thing where we've talked about it, and Mizzou really doesn't need it at this point because they've still been able to win, but the deep ball still really isn't there, but it hasn't necessarily been needed for Mizzou. I mean, the deep shot passes that go 20-plus yards in the air still aren't connecting right now for Mizzou at this moment, but I think that they're still progressing towards that because when you have that talented wide receiver room with all those guys, I mean, yards after catch is a thing, and they're able to be very explosive. We especially have seen Luther Burden, and there was a lot of mistakes, too, this weekend. I think this is a good learning lesson for a lot of the guys involved.
And it's interesting with the schedule, the way it shapes up. Mizzou doesn't have to play or doesn't get to play Tennessee. They don't get to play Ole Miss this year. I do too. Yeah,
because you can tell that Eli Drinkwitz likes there's definitely a rivalry going on between him and Josh Heupel.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. After Heupel had put up the 60 for back-to-back years on Mizzou, but back in 1999 when the Rams won the Super Bowl, each of their division rivalry games, they played the first one at home. They played Atlanta at home first. They played San Francisco at home first. They played Carolina at home first, and then New Orleans. They played all of those teams at home before they had to play them on the road. So they had built up a level of confidence. I think the schedule, and Mizzou had nothing to do with the conference schedule, but it really does work to their advantage. Getting Vandy to be your first SEC game. And Vandy might be better, but if Mizzou can't beat Vandy at home, then they don't deserve to be in the conversation that we're having. And then they go to a vulnerable Texas A&M, and A&M is ranked 25 in the country right now, but if ever there was a vulnerability to an A&M program, granted Jimbo Fisher helped with that, but Mizzou is on a par now with A&M and should be able to play with them. Then they go to UMass, they get Auburn at home before they go to Alabama. And it's possible, I'm not going to say probable, but it's possible for Mizzou to be unbeaten as they go to Alabama. And it's in large part because of the way the schedule is set up. If they had to play a Tennessee or an Ole Miss before they get to Alabama, things might be completely different. But I would guess that they'll be favored against Texas A&M.
And there's a good side and a bad side to this, right? Because the good side is that you have a very favorable schedule, which is something that we've talked about all year. But then the bad side is because you have such a favorable schedule, there's really the margin for error is thin, right? You have to win all the games that you're expected to win and then some.
Everything except Alabama. They'll be favored in every game but Alabama.
Oklahoma has also shown a lot of weaknesses. They're ranked number 15 right now in the country, but their defense is pretty much dragging them into this one at this point. They still haven't really connected offensively. And South Carolina, Mississippi State, no. UMass, that's a game you have to win. Texas A&M, I feel like, is a must-win game for them, too. And then Alabama, if you win that one, then 100%, I feel like that secures them a spot into the college football playoffs.
Yeah, if if they can only lose one game. I think they only have one game to lose, and that's Alabama. I think if they lose another game, then they can probably think about looking from the outside in at the playoff.
That's why I said that it matters so much about the quality of the opponents there, where the margin for error is so thin for them. They can't make any mistakes in those situations. They have to really go and win every single game possible that's expected of them. And just maybe that one loss be Alabama. But outside of that, you can't really lose to any of these other teams.
And Vandy, as we mentioned, is the opponent on Saturday, a 3:15 game at Faurot Field. And that one's another SEC network. They've had only SEC network action so far. So let's get some of that big ESPN action.
Let's get the big ESPN. No. Hey, did you see College Game Day, their interview with Eliah Drinkwitz prior to the game with a robotic dog?
Yeah, that was very funny.
That was great.
He's great.
I was trying to figure out, I was researching this yesterday when I had some free time, researching like this is like a big deal or something like that. But I was trying to figure out what is the purpose of the robotic dog? Is it just
Mizzou guy?
Yeah, it's just Mizzou's robotics program is really top notch, and that's something they've been working on and kind of been showcasing for, I guess, a couple of years now.
Didn't they do a halftime show with them?
Yeah. Like it's been a couple of years now. So the robotics has just become a bigger program at Mizzou over the last few years. I personally think, though, we need to stop it. We need to actually destroy it at midfield, and we need to stop this because this is how you get a Terminator, Brooke. Watch the movies, people. We know what happens. Stop with the robots. Stop with the AI. It's my least favorite thing about Mizzou. Stop promoting this pro-robot culture. They're going to come back on us one day, all right? Culture. Stop them now when we have control.
I kind of like the idea of a dog that doesn't bark and doesn't step on my groin.
And also, you don't have to pick up its poop.
Okay,
it's true.
But
that's a really good point.
But what about the one that slowly but surely plots your demise?
Oh, come on.
Somebody's doing that anyway. Add to the list.
Just get in line,
to the text
bud.
line we go.
Yeah, you were scarred by iRobot, weren't you?
Yeah.
Great movie, better book. No, I wasn't scarred. I wasn't scarred, Brooke. I was educated. I was educated by iRobot. Isaac Asimov was right, but there's the 3 laws on a real thing, Brooke, and that's why it worries me.
I don't know. I'm just somebody said Terminator is a documentary.
Thank you. Somebody obviously knows what I'm talking about. It's not wrong.
I'm just trying to figure out what exactly the dog does. That's what I want to know. It was walking around with Eliah Drinkwitz.
Yeah. It shows up on TV and gets your program money.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
can it get you things like, if I'm just saying, if I want one for my house, like what will it do for me?
It'll go get you. Well, a golden retriever will go get you soda too.
Yeah, you can train a dog to do that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying is like, what am I getting out of this experience? Like, why do we need, how much did this thing cost? Because I saw it was expensive.
It's expensive, yeah.
Hence why you put it on College Game Day in front of a national audience so that your donors see all the, well, hey guys, you know that $1 million we used to create a robotic dog? Here it is, giving us pub and making us look good.
Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Tioli next on 101 ESPN.
awesome.
Another weekend of NFL football meant another weekend of fun on Underdog Fantasy for me because it's the greatest time of the year. Football's back, and it means daily fantasy on Underdog. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by competing on Underdog, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats. In fact, if you want to hit that 1,000, you need to play the streaks game. I got to go in a little bit. I got 2 in a row. Then I missed it on my third one in the early games, and in the late game, I got 3 in a row before missing it on my fourth one. Streaks, another great way to play. We're always playing Champions Pick'em, though, when it comes to Underdog Fantasy. And right now, I'm going to put together a Pick'em entry for tonight's game for the Eagles and the Falcons. I'm going to go higher on Jalen Hurts' longest completion. Kirk Cousins is going to go lower on his longest completion. My new pet favorite bet here on Underdog Fantasy. We're going to go higher on 0.5 rushing touchdowns from Bijan Robinson because that's how the Falcons are going to score points tonight. And speaking of a running back doing big things, we're going to go Saquon Barkley higher than 5 rush and reception first downs. I'm not sure about the touchdowns when it comes to the Eagles, but you know they're going to be putting the ball in Barkley's hands to get those first downs. That's just a start for your entry. You can put that in now, or you can add to it to win more. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code ROCC, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use in your first Cash Champions entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consider the play call Underdog Gambler or visit www.ncbgambler.org.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Great to have you with us on the opening drive. Brooke, Matthew, and Randy. Danny will be back with us tomorrow. Okay, guys. Saints 44, Cowboys 19, Cardinals 41, Rams 10. It just doesn't get any better on a Sunday. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I will take it. We know how much Jerry Jones loves being on camera, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't we have like an NFL reaction cam where we can go to Jerry Jones in his box and see his reaction to the game?
I think that'd be fun. We get to see Taylor Swift's reaction.
Yeah, but I'm talking about inside, like some inside access.
A booth cam.
Yes.
Okay, I love this idea. I think that's great.
I'm trying to help the NFL here. I'm sure that they need more money, more ideas. So I'm trying to give them some more ideas there.
Perfect.
What do you think he was saying during that game?
He's probably saying, "Damn it, Dak."
Why did I give you all that money?
Yeah. Well, why did we hire Mike Zimmer? Why didn't we hire Rex Ryan?
Yeah, that was pretty rough for the Cowboys, but great if you were
a great New Orleans Saints fan parade before the game and then one after the game. And I don't know if you heard any highlights, but the Saints fans took over AT&T Stadium. Apparently it was like 60-40 Saints fans to Cowboys fans for yesterday's games.
I love that.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is so good, too.
He's really good when he's healthy and not beating up people in Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good point, Randy. Maybe just avoid that.
Yeah.
Don't do things like that.
Well, it's get you a fall guy.
All right, take it or leave it. As I was talking about earlier in the show, Florida is kind of down bad right now when it comes to football, college football specifically. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you could argue the Jags, too. They had a tough loss, but I'm kind of getting off track here a little bit. But Florida, they lost again this past weekend. So Billy Napier continues to be on the hot seat. Take it or leave it, he will be fired here soon. I don't know if you saw the reports, but apparently the boosters are getting together to pay for his buyout, which is approximately $26 million.
I will take it. Can I add one? Can I give you a take it or leave it to add to your take it or leave it? Mm-hmm. Take it or leave it, Urban Meyer's the next coach at Florida. Serious.
No. You think so?
When boosters are ready to pay buyouts, they also like to hire the next guy.
That's true. I do think that it's kind of just shows you how crazy college football is right now, too, when it comes to money and spending and how much the boosters influence things. They are the true owners of these college football teams, and they're showcasing it now. They can actually put it in the forefront of what they're able to do. You're really they're like shareholders for a company. It's about making them happy, and they get to do whatever that they want in these situations.
Yeah,
spending $26 million on a buyout, but I don't know how much they're putting towards NIL. That's kind of ridiculous, right?
It is kind of ridiculous. But wasn't there a booster at Nebraska? They would have had to pay like millions less when they fired Scott Frost if they would have waited 2 weeks. But a booster said, nope, don't want to wait 2 weeks, and they wound up paying the extra couple $1 million.
That's just ridiculous. You're just showing off at that point.
Yeah. So let's see. Hold on here. It was, so they had to pay him $15 million, and it would have dropped to $7.5 million if they would have waited 2 weeks. To fire him. They spent $7.5 million to fire him 2 weeks before they did.
Why don't you put that in NIL or something else more useful?
Yeah, really. I don't know.
And here's another part. So USA Today, they have the story on Billy Napier and how the boosters are coming together. Supposedly, according to this report, that number could be mitigated because Florida is currently being investigated by the NCAA for its recruitment.
Oh, just wait that out then. Because you're going to be bad.
They're not going to wait it out.
Well, if you can fire him for cause, maybe the boosters don't care, do they?
They don't
They just
care.
want to get rid of him.
Yes.
It would be the fewest games, I think, in the last half century that a Florida coach has had to get things right there. Mm-hmm. And he does have, I think, a top 5 recruiting class this year. So, Matthew, what do we got on the text line? By the way, does Mike Norvell get whacked at Florida State? They're 0-3, and they were unbeaten last year until the bowl game.
I think so.
I think so,
I wouldn't
too.
be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Well, who goes first? Billy Napier.
I think Napier, yeah, because they're more upset at Florida.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this week.
That'd be so funny. Although I think it would have happened by now.
I don't know.
I mean, but my thing is that, like,
they're gathering up that $26 million.
if you're Florida State, you had expectations when you looked at your schedule this year. If you were Florida, you kind of knew that you were pretty much.
They never know. They never know.
You were carving the tombstone for Napier in August if you looked at that schedule.
Right,
there was no way they were going to win with that schedule.
Yeah, but they think they are. That's the problem is schools like that, boosters like that, they never know. There's no self-awareness whatsoever.
Take it or leave it. Darnold wins Comeback Player of the Year. Kevin O'Connell wins Coach of the Year.
I'm going to leave it. I'm a big proponent of somebody having something to come back to. Darnold has never done anything, so why would he get Comeback Player of the Year, right?
Wow, Randy.
He's never done anything.
That's a fair point.
What's he coming back from?
In Randy's argument, there is not an award specifically for you used to suck, but then you got to be worked on by Kyle Shanahan award.
Doesn't Aaron Rodgers get Comeback Player of the Year?
Yeah, if he's healthy the whole year, that's a good point.
That's really good.
I think so. It has been a great story for Sam Darnold. I'm not trying to take away from that.
I don't think he's good.
People were not expecting the Vikings to do this whatsoever this year.
He can throw. Darnold has been in horrible situations. When you think about the Jets, the Panthers, and then kind of a chance to just decompress last year, learn from Kyle Shanahan, work with Purdy. He's in a pretty good spot now, throwing to Jefferson if he's healthy. He's got a good arm. And by the way, Brock Purdy is criminally underrated. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, and people think that he's a product of the system. He's not. He's a really good quarterback.
Their offensive line outside of Trent Williams is terrible this year.
Yeah, they're kind of scuffling.
It's kind of scuffling. Take it or leave it. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen all retire ringless.
Burrow, Jackson, who are the other ones?
Josh
Herbert
Allen.
and Allen.
I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, the AFC quarterbacks.
I believe it. There has to be at least one time.
Herbert's going to win one in the next 3 years.
Really?
Well, they're attacking every day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Who's got it better than them right now? Nobody. Yeah, he's going to win a Super Bowl. It's amazing. Somebody wrote this morning about the parallels between when Harbaugh took over the Niners and now, and it's stunning. And they're probably going to wind up in an AFC Championship game this year. The Chargers are, and so I think Herbert has a chance. I still think Lamar has a chance. Lamar's really young.
He is.
So Josh Allen, I think, would be the one that I would worry about most in that group. And then who's the other one? I forgot the other one. But anyway, I think one of them does. Burrow. Oh, yeah, Burrow. Yeah, that's a bad ownership. they're going to let Jamar Chase get away, and it's going to be hard for
I still
Burrow
can't
to win.
believe that it's still happening.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's hard for a small market organization in the NFL. How else are they supposed to afford good
That's
players
true.
like
How are they going to?
Yeah,
Jamar
that's true.
Chase? What are you guys talking about?
That's a great point. Yeah.
God.
I don't know how Green Bay or Kansas City
How they find
how
a
they
way.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it these tens of millions of dollars of revenue sharing, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Take it or leave it. The New Orleans Saints are legitimate Super Bowl contenders after the beatdown of the Cowboys.
I'm going to leave that
I will
they're
leave
Super
that.
Bowl contenders. I think they're division contenders,
Yes.
clearly.
I think that's fair.
But I don't, we know they can beat Dallas.
Yes.
But I still think, despite yesterday, I think the NFC goes through San Francisco, and I don't know that they can go there. And I don't know that even on their home field, I don't know if they can beat the Lions on their home field in a playoff game.
Yeah, I'm still high on Lions stock right now.
Yeah, me too. Except for next week.
What happens next week? Are they playing the Cardinals?
They are.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
The Lions have so many St. Louis connections, though.
I know, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, Isaiah Williams, Jamison Williams.
Jack Fox.
Jack Fox is there. Yeah. Sam Laporta. It's great.
Take it or leave it. You've moved the Mizzou Tigers over-under to 10.5 from 9.5 games.
Ooh, I will.
10.5 to 9.5 games.
Yeah.
From 9.5 to 10.5.
I'm gonna leave
Oh, okay.
Up
To
again.
higher,
From-
up
yeah,
a game.
up again.
Oh, okay.
From 9, it was at
Why
9.5
why
to
are
start
you
the
leaving
season,
it?
and now people are saying, would you take over on the 10.5? Maybe?
that. I think they're going to have another loss in addition to Alabama. I don't know what it is, but I think they're going to have another loss.
Still going
Really?
10-2.
Are you going with a shocking loss?
No, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they lost at A&M.
Bama.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's still.
Oklahoma's defense is what's carrying them right now.
Yeah, and that's weird to me.
Is it?
I'll take a matchup against Oklahoma where their defense is the stronger side of the football.
Hey, but they still
I'll roll
haven't
the
been able to
dice on
find a way
that.
to win because of that defense. That defense is just pulling them along right now. We've seen in the NFL it works. You saw this past weekend.
Right.
Browns defense is, it's like every single year that's a story. They're dragging them through.
Does Missouri beat Vandy this weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Vandy hasn't been as bad as I thought that they would be, though, this year. So
No, they've got
there's that.
That's
Also,
Notre
Georgia's-
Dame wishes they had Clark Lee on their staff.
They lost at Georgia Southern on Saturday.
Yikes.
Georgia State. Georgia Southern? Georgia Southern, I think it was.
Georgia State. We stole the Georgia State running back, right?
Yes, you did. Take it or leave it. If the Cardinals had kept Tyler O'Neill, Tommy Edman, and Jack Flaherty, they would be seriously challenging for the division.
Take it. Leave it. I'm really
I was
leaving
going to
it.
say, would those players have done
I
what they're
will
doing
leave
now?
it because what do you think that they would have done with Tommy Edman in this situation? Would he have been the center fielder or would it have been Siani? Like, I'm just thinking about if we just plug them in right now, not knowing, what they were able to do with the Dodgers, how do you think that they would even be handling those two?
The Dodgers are way better, not only than the Cardinals, but at everybody else at maximizing players.
Yeah.
They do get hurt a lot, but they maximize guys. And the Cardinals would not have been able to maximize Flaherty or Edman like the Doyers have. And Tyler O'Neill was just not going to work here. There were personal issues in addition to professional issues, and it was just not going to work for Tyler O'Neill as a member of the Cardinals.
The thing is that I understand that, and we talk about change of scenery, and we discussed this last week. It's just frustrating to see because I think it just points to a very alarming trend when we have to continue to look at these other players who are doing so well for other organizations. You have to wonder what exactly is going on here.
It's the biggest thing the Cardinals have to fix. And I would hope that 2 weeks from tomorrow, 2 days after the season is complete, that the Cardinals announce that they are making changes to advance themselves in terms of maximizing talent at the minor and major league levels.
You have to. You have to supplement your coaching staff.
And we've seen enough now. I think over the course of 3 years, when you look at the body of work, and especially the last 2 years, I feel like I've learned enough about where this franchise is and going that there are changes that need to be made from a development and an improvement standpoint. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up in this final homestand of the season, is there anything that we want to learn about the Cardinals as they face Paul Skeens and the Pirates for tonight and this week, and then the Guardians this weekend? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. Football season is here, and you know what that means. Fall is just around the corner, and with cooler temperatures on the way, it's time to make sure that your home is ready to go. If you've been dealing with drafty windows all summer, struggling on those crazy hot days, your AC working overtime, now is the perfect time to upgrade with Universal Windows Direct before the cold weather starts to kick in here soon. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which makes the windows perform better, last longer, and helps keep your home more comfortable no matter the season. Plus, Universal Windows Direct backs it all up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own the home and a 20-year warranty to the next home owner. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 for free plus 0% financing for 60 months. That is 5 years. Restrictions apply. Mention my name and get an additional $250 off your next project. So go to UWD.com. That's UWD.com. They are a proud partner of the St. Louis Cardinals, and like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
St. Louis Cardinals open up their final homestand of the 2024 season tonight at the ballpark. It's 4 against the Pirates, 4 night games, and then 3 against the Guardians Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Brooke, a couple of things that I want to see. Number one, Jordan Walker in September has an 840 OPS. If you would extrapolate his September numbers over a full season, you're looking at 35, 36 home runs and over 100 RBIs, about 110 RBIs with an 840 OPS. I want to see Jordan Walker continue to ascend and be what he has been so far in the month of September. That's the biggest thing that I want to see from the Cardinals. And then to a lesser extent, and I think we both agree on this, I want to see Thomas Saggese every day.
I do too. I want to see Thomas Saggese every day. We had some people text in earlier when we were talking about our 3 things we love this weekend, where we pointed to specifically Thomas Saggese and Jordan Walker, where they say, well, they're not performing that well. Here's the thing. That's what I want to see. I want to see the younger players. We know where we're at right now in the season. Look, you can look at the standings right now. It's very apparent where the Cardinals are. And what have we been saying? That we want to see this youth movement. I want to know what you have with these younger players. I want to see them play every single day. If they struggle, they struggle. That's completely fine. I think getting that big league experience is so important right now for those younger players. That's also why I want to see the younger pitchers come up, too. I would like to see McGreevy one more time. I would like to see Gordon Graceffo one more time. I think it's too soon for Quinn Matthews at this point. I'm not surprised if we would see him next season. But there's still a lot of the younger guys that I want to see right now. If they struggle, that's fine. I want them to learn, though, at the big league level so that we can take that into next season. Look at Mason Wynn. He struggled last September when they called him up. He did not perform well whatsoever at the plate. But then look at how much he grew over the offseason because he had that big league experience to take into the offseason.
Yeah, and if you just take a look at what Jordan Walker has done in September, and it's hard to play in September. It really is. It's different. But last September, he had an 853 OPS, 4 homers and 12 RBIs. This year, an 840 OPS. By the way, if you tuck that OPS in and again, extrapolate it out, and you got to give a guy an opportunity, right? He would be right behind Jose Ramirez and right ahead of Jurickson Profar in 20th place in Major League Baseball in OPS. If I could have a hitter on the Cardinals that had the 20th best OPS in the sport, I would take it. Now, people are... I'm not saying that he's going to do this. I'm just saying you have to give him the opportunity to do this, and the skill set is there to do it. So I would suggest rather than give up on a guy, if you get mad about the Cardinals trading people that turn into good offensive performers. Try to keep this guy around. And sure, you can say he's done nothing. But then if you think that he's done nothing and he's going to do nothing, then don't be mad when he goes someplace else and turns into a superstar.
Because we see it time and time again.
Yep.
From the through and four, if you like Walker's average in September, you have a very low bar for success.
Well, again, an 840 OPS, low bar for success. If I can have a player that's 20th in Major League Baseball, right there with Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, if I can have that player, I don't think that's a low bar. Now, do I expect him to be Aaron Judge? No. Would I like him to be Aaron Judge? Yes. But I think that person has unrealistic expectations of players. I don't think it's reasonable for anybody to be compared to Aaron Judge. You'd love him to wind up being Judge or Ohtani, but there's only one Aaron Judge and there's only one Shohei Ohtani. And if the Cardinals are going to get better, then that's what they need, is for Jordan Walker to be a top 20 player in Major League Baseball.
Do you feel like it's very clear at this point, based on how they've handled Jordan Walker, especially this season, that they are really counting on Jordan Walker to carry this team offensively?
They have to, yes. And the way I couched it to a member of the Cardinals front office was, you aren't signing Juan Soto, right? Yeah, we're not. So if that's the case, you need Jordan Walker to turn into a superstar, right? Yes, we do. They need Jordan Walker to fill that role because they aren't trading for one of the top 20 hitters. They aren't going to get Ketel Marte. They aren't going to get Bryce Harper. They aren't going to get Mookie Betts or Corey Seager or Kyle Schwarber. They need their young player to ascend to a superstar level because the Cardinals are not going to make that trade. They are not going to go get that guy this offseason, and they certainly aren't going to sign him as a free agent. So what they need is for Walker to turn into a superstar, for Gorman to be what he has shown he can be. He had 27 home runs last year. Nolan Gorman did. If Nolan Gorman can be a 30 home run guy, and then you can turn Burleson into the player that he was in the first half of the season, then you've got a middle of the lineup that is representative. It's not going to be Freeman, Betts, and Ohtani. It's not. It's not going to be Judge, Soto, and Stanton. It's not going to be that. But at least you give yourself a chance if you get those young players to live up to their skill sets.
And that's why I think that it's really important for them this offseason to invest into the coaching staff and developing these young players. From the 618, well, the problem with the Cardinals is they put no money into their coaching staff. Every coach they bring in is some guy who has success coaching a little league baseball or something like that, and they are cheap. Well, they're saying minor leagues, or even you have Dusty Blake with the resume of Duke. And I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but the resumes are very small for some of the guys that they have brought in. And Mike Schilt was a guy who was in your organization for 18 years. So you lose somebody who had so much experience within your organization that worked from literally the bottom up all the way to being a manager.
And I don't know how it works financially with coaches. I don't know if the Cardinal coaches are making substantially less than other coaches where teams have consistent success. But if that is the case, then that's where the Cardinals need to invest, in bringing in coaches that have proven themselves at the major league level, who garner the respect of the players within that clubhouse. And sometimes that doesn't work out. Turner Ward was a hitting coach with the Diamondbacks and with the Dodgers in the past. And he got off to a decent start here, but it just hasn't worked. And sometimes you just need to make a change for the sake of change. Sometimes things get stale and just aren't working, and the best thing to do is to bring in somebody from the outside.
Well, because we keep talking about it. The issues with situational hitting has been a theme, not just this year, but last year, too. From the 3 and 4, are we still reeling from the coaching exodus of 2022? I mean, think about it. You did lose a lot of experience. Jeff Albert, I know that he was the butt of many jokes, and a lot of people wanted to see him leave, but he had put a lot of time into the organization. And so you're losing people who had a lot of familiarity with the organization, had a lot of familiarity with like the game plan of exactly what they were looking for approach-wise. And then you lost Mike Maddox, too. Remember?
Right.
He retired, but then he went to the Rangers. That's somebody else with a lot of Major League Baseball experience. And then you lose Mike Schilt. I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen there. And then you have this new young coaching staff comes in with a different perspective, but you always need that experience around you. I mean, even look at the Blues. They bring in Claude Julien with his resume with this young coaching staff to really help make sure that he has that experience of churning a championship roster and getting the most out of those players.
And who is a seasoned veteran in that dugout from a major league coaching standpoint? Willie McGee?
Yeah.
But then, maybe we were spoiled. Well, we were spoiled by the era that we were in, where Tony had been around the block, Dave McKay had been around the block, Dave Duncan had been around the block, and we had a really solid veteran coaching staff for a long time. I still think that plays, though. When you look at the teams that are succeeding on a regular basis in Major League Baseball and then look at their coaching staffs, I don't think it's a coincidence that veteran coaching staffs that have been around continue to succeed at the Major League level. And once again, if the goal is to win the World Series, Bruce Bochy is the Rangers manager. They won last year. Dusty Baker was the manager of the Astros when they won a couple of years ago. Brian Snitker, 45-year veteran who has a really solid veteran major league staff, was the manager when the Braves won in 21. 20 is an off year, but the Dodgers are a great organization. 19, Davey Martinez had a veteran staff and was a protege of Joe Madden. You just keep going back and looking, and it's veteran staffs that wind up winning at winning the World Series at the major league level. So I would have no problem if the Cardinals would go that direction and infuse a little bit more veteran presence into their coaching staff. I'm not saying get rid of other guys, but have a big staff. One of the problems the Cardinals have is they don't have enough guys.
Yeah.
So bring in veteran guys too.
Because it only helps.
Yeah.
It maximizes your talent. Do you feel like the era of Tony La Russa, that's something that the Cardinals don't want to get back to? And I don't understand why not. I understand that it happened in the past. Baseball has changed. It has evolved. But at the same time, it worked. But Tony La Russa has such a great feel for the game, obviously, with what he was able to do. And he was also kind of a GM in a sense. Does it feel like maybe the Cardinals, and this isn't just limited to them, but a lot of the organizations wanted to get away from having a manager who really was like kind of Whitey, like La Russa, where they were also the GMs making the business decisions too, in a sense, of what players were coming in and out.
There's a strong belief within and outside the organization that Mo couldn't wait to get away from that because Tony was in charge. I mean, even in 2011,
exactly.
Tony goes to the media with the Rasmus thing, and Mo's almost forced to make the trade. Same thing with the Holiday trade. And I don't think he wanted to be forced to do anything by anybody, but I think it does make sense to have your manager in charge and have him have a major say within your organization. And yeah, I do think I think ownership, I mean, look at Bill DeWitt. He told Tony he could stay as long as he wanted, and Tony did. But I don't think that Mo wanted that, from at least what I understand from people. And I think it is a good idea to have a collaboration in terms of bringing people in and coaches in to your organization.
You don't need yes men around you. You need somebody who can actually point things out. Just because somebody disagrees with you or points out maybe something they're seeing doesn't mean that it has to be a bad thing.
No.
You should be able to allow all these different ideas to come into your organization.
If a manager tells the president of baseball operations or general manager, just as an example, hey, look, we could really use a left-handed reliever down here. I think that rather than take that as a criticism and getting mad about it, I think it'd be smart for the person that acquires players to say, okay, what are you looking for specifically? Might we have the guy on hand? Rather than getting mad and lashing out, I think it might be a good idea just to say, okay, how can we do this? How can I improve your situation so that we have a better chance to win?
And hear from them about why exactly you're seeing. What are you seeing? What do you see in the game? Instead of it being some reason for there to be conflict.
Like, I get the players, you manage them. You don't need to have that kind of a situation.
It almost feels like you were like drawing from a past experience, Randy.
Yeah. No, I would not do that because I wouldn't want something that led to philosophical differences.
Oh,
or something
no,
like that.
not that again.
Coming up, Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues on 101 ESPN.
Hey, Chris Kerber with you here, and you know what? You've heard us talk a lot over the last few months about making sure that you call Classic Air Care and you get them out to just check on your HVAC unit. May not need repairs. You just need to have it serviced, and same as you might change the oil in the car or rotate the tires. Well, here's a personal reason why. We had an old unit. We had somebody out to the house to just check it out. They put a camera in there, and they saw a crack in one of the heating units. Well, it may not sound like much. The unit was working fine, but if that crack had busted through, you could end up with a big issue with a lot of CO2 in the house, which is one reason why we actually have CO2 sensors in our house. That's why you want somebody to come out and take a look at that HVAC unit, especially before you start turning on the heat as we start to get into the fall and into the winter. Classic Air Care will take care of you. They'll take care of your house. They will tell you what you need, and they will make sure that things are comfortable. You can book an appointment online. You can also call them. You go to classicaircare.com. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
Hockey game, but the Blues trying to change things here as Bolduc swoops in and scores! A gorgeous goal from the captain, and Zach Bolduc has tied it.
Del Mastro and Bolduc get each other tied up. They go down, and Bolduc wins the puck back. Brings it over to Buchinger. Great play to Bolduc. In front to Dean! His backhander hits the post. He's hit the pipe 3 times. 50 to go. We're in overtime. 3-3 the score. Blues bring it in. Robertson shooting it. It's behind him. He scores! Simon Robertson buries the game winner in overtime, and you can bring out the Zamboni. A 4-3 St. Louis Blues win.
It's the opening drive. The Blues with their prospect camp this weekend, Friday and yesterday. Very successful by all accounts. And the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, joins us as he does every Monday morning. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Randy, I'm good today. How are you?
Good. Hey, who impressed you this weekend?
Oh, I think there was a lot. Where do we start? Actually, I thought Will Cranley was really good in goal yesterday against Minnesota. Just very smooth, backstop that win. That was good. I thought Dvorsky looked good. The one that I was impressed with was Kaskamaki. You saw the 200-foot game that they have talked about him a lot on. He ended up on a line at times with Dean and Bolduc, and I thought he looked really good. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And then, Randy, I'll tell you something. On the defensive side of things, and I know the Blues, obviously, with what they've signed and what they've got in, they've got a logjam on defense right now. But Michael Buchinger is somebody to keep an eye on. The plays he was making yesterday, smooth plays behind the net, got the puck off the glass, got it out. His first passes, he's got offensive instinct. So I went in and I looked back at this a little bit. You know, he was a third-round draft. Parayko was a third-round draft pick taken 86. Now, Colton Parayko was taken in the 2012 draft and then played 3 years of college hockey. Buchinger was taken 3 years ago, and he's now played 2 years of junior hockey. Well, with Colton Parayko playing college hockey, he was only playing 35, 36, 37 games a year, right? Buchinger's played 67. So he's played in 2 years the same number of games that Parayko played in 3. I bring up that comparison because it takes a while for these defensemen to get there, but as a 20-year-old, they put him in Springfield. This is a guy that within a couple of years you could see up here and might be one of the guys quarterbacking your power play, and I think has the ability to be a top 4 guy in some time here. So that's exciting when you start to think that way about a third-round draft pick again.
I know it all depends on how things go in training camp, but I know that Dalibor Dvorsky's name has been brought up a lot as a guy who could maybe really impress during training camp and see his way into things with the Blues this season. Did that change at all your opinion this weekend after seeing him, or is there another player that you're also eyeing that could possibly be with the Blues at some point this season?
Well, like I said, I think Kaskamaki is a guy that at some point in time might get a look. Depending on how things go from that standpoint. I interviewed Doug Armstrong during the first intermission of Friday night's game. I phrased a question by saying it's a huge camp for Dvorsky. And I said it that way because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's a big camp because he has a chance to make the team if he plays well. Doug kind of quickly corrected me. He says, I don't look at it like as a huge camp. I just look at it as a camp. They have options for Dalibor Dvorsky. They have all the options available. They could send him back to junior hockey. He could make the team coming out of camp. Or they could also send him to Springfield. Now, that's a heck of a play as a 19-year-old, but because he's European-born, you can do that. The thing about Dvorsky is this. One, I thought he looked fine. The play that he made to get that puck over to Zach Dean on that backhander that hit the post was just fantastic. To me, Dvorsky's just one of those guys, get him some playing time, but put him with some really good players and really see what he can do, see what he can get done. I would love to see him break camp like Robert Thomas did, like Robbie Fabry, like David Perron did. I'd love to see that happen, and he get a year worth of experience before Jimmy Snuggerud comes in, rather than having those guys go through their rookie year together. So I'm hoping. Plus, I also like what it might just do for the rest of the lineup by shifting them down and in there. So it's up to him, but I can tell you this. Doug Armstrong is not looking at that decision with any kind of pressure whatsoever. They don't want Dvorsky feeling any kind of pressure whatsoever. They just want him to come out and play, and if he's ready, they'll use him. If he's not, they know that they have time.
And one of the things about his situation is it an 11-game rule or does that even apply to him anymore? It doesn't, because they could send him back to Springfield, so that doesn't apply anymore. Kerbs, but they do have a lot of players under one-way contracts, forwards and defensemen, and they would have to. They would have to move somebody off the roster that is guaranteed a spot, right? Or at least guaranteed money.
Yeah, Randy, that's what Doug Armstrong has done here that has made this camp such a fascinating one. You have more people on one-way contracts, both forwards and defensemen, than you have spots for. At the same time, you're hoping that some young players step up. Put some prep. Bill Guerin said this yesterday when we talked to him. You want some young guys to really make some veterans scared. Maybe take a spot. If you're doing that, you know your organization's in good shape. So, I mean, look, you go all the way down to Nathan Walker in the lineup or some of those other guys that have been kind of your fourth line, good guys, but fringe guys. You look defensively, whether it be a Kessel, a Perunovic, a Tyler Tucker. You've got guys that are going to have to clear waivers. You've got guys that are on one-way contracts that could be forced out. So, yeah, I mean, if he takes one of those spots, there's a veteran person that loses the spot. Doug Armstrong doesn't seem at all worried about losing some of these guys on waivers. One, some teams just may not have the room for them. And two, because you actually are under the cap, putting the guy down in the minors, you get a little cap relief, but it's not going to impact the business flow of things from that standpoint too much. So I think he appreciates much more having that kind of competition than anything else.
It was great seeing you last week at the St. Louis Blues media lunch, and you did a fantastic job, Kerbs. Did you get to try any of the food? Because the food is going to be fantastic once again this year.
I did. I have that kind of physique that never shies away from the chance to try some food. Listen, the one thing that Levy has done, Chris Zimmerman made this a point when he came in and as president and CEO of business operations for the Blues. They've really done a great job of leading the way in terms of bringing in local fare. I mean, you go all around both the upper and the lower concourse, and you're going to see stands that are run by local food trucks, local businesses, places that you could go out to dinner on a Thursday night or Wednesday night, and you're going to find that food at Enterprise Center. And under the leadership now of Jerry Hiller, they've done a terrific job continuing to bring that in. And, man, we had about 12 different places at that media luncheon sampling what they're making for the fans, and I think they're going to love it.
Hey, Kerbs, the Blues will play games on Saturday and Sunday. It starts in a hurry, and I love the way it works. Just going back to this big roster, is there anybody that can just kind of ease? Obviously, the veterans can ease their way through camp, but is there anybody that you think has a spot locked down that they don't even feel like they need to look at in camp? That would surprise us. Because obviously Shen is going to be there. Buchnevich is going to be there. You've got your guys. But is there anybody that was here last year that doesn't have to battle or worry about somebody coming up?
Randy, that's a great question and a great way of looking at it. Obviously, as you said, save the Buchneviches, the Thomases, the Kairus, the neighbors for that. Shens and stuff. I actually don't think there is. I just blanked there. Toropchenko. Mm-hmm. Let's use him as an example. Okay, Toropchenko is going to make this team. Okay, I don't see anything happening in training camp where somebody's going to force Toropchenko on waivers or in the minors. Okay, but the reason that I say he can't get too comfortable is this is a guy that should be easily a third-line player, getting 15 minutes of ice time every single game. Could sometimes knock on the door, depending on how the game's going and what they need as a second-line guy, right? But in all honesty, with the depth of this roster and, say, the addition of Holloway, for example, he could be in a fourth-line role, and if he's not consistent, he could get scratched, right? So, and then I look defensively at the Perunoviches, at the Tuckers, at the Kessels, and, man, it's like there's no freebie for any one of those guys, and yet Perunovich signed a one-way contract at $1 million per. But if everybody's healthy, I think it's a very difficult defensive group for him to make. So, no, I don't know that necessarily from that standpoint that anybody you'd say could – and coast isn't the right word. You don't want to label somebody as being lazy in that sense, but I'm not sure that anybody else should be all too comfortable beyond some of those proven veterans, just simply because I think the competition is that good for ice time. And if the Blues are going to, let's go back. You guys were just talking about the experience of Tony LaRusse and all that stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. You remember when Ozzie Smith last year? Well, it's going to be depending on who has the better camp, Royce Clayton or Ozzie Smith, right? And Ozzie did, but Tony still played Clayton, right? And that was the last year for Ozzie Smith. To me, I hope that doesn't happen here. I hope that here it's if you play the best, you earn it, because that means the Blues are putting their best players out on the ice.
Absolutely. Coming up on Saturday, Blues and Stars pregame at 5:00. Man, it happens in a hurry. And you got a chance to warm up a little bit this weekend. Are you on the top of your game? Are you in mid-season form already?
Well, yeah. There's one of the goals I called on Friday night. I mean, I cracked like I was a 16-year-old going through pre-puberty there. So, let me put it this way: when I had throat surgery on a polyp on a vocal cord a few years back, I learned some exercises. So after the voice cracked on a goal, and I hit an octave that made me sound like I might be part of the Vienna Boys Choir, I decided to go back to some of those exercises. So, yeah, we're ready to go. So we'll be in Dallas, and then we go to Des Moines on Sunday. Camp opens on Thursday. Everything's open to the public. We got Blues and Brews. See what I mean, Randy? Not quite mid-season form yet. Blues and Brews on Friday. And, it's going to be great. So we got the Blues golf tournament today, actually. Blues for Kids. Randy Gersh and his team have got that, so we'll be out at Belle Reve today. They'll raise over $250,000 for Blues for Kids that'll go out into the community today. How about that?
That's awesome. Great. Well, have a great time out there, Kerbs, and we will see you at the rink. We'll be there. The opening drive will be there on Thursday morning. So looking forward to seeing you at the rink.
Love it. We'll see you guys this week. Have a great week.
Thanks, Kerbs. See you later.
Yep.
That is the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber. And as he mentioned, in addition to us and BK and Ferrario being out at the rink all week long, they'll be out there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Action for the Blues on Friday night and Saturday, or Saturday night and Sunday, rather. Saturday night at Dallas, as he mentioned. And then they play the Utah Hockey Club in Des Moines on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Utah.
Yeah, the Utah Hockey Club.
I have to remind myself that is a new team this year.
Yeah. Go whatever they're going to be called. We don't know.
They are called the
Utah Hockey Club.
That's just what they are?
Yeah, right now.
They had so many cooler options for their names.
They're going to have one next year. I think next year, the year after, they'll have a name.
Okay.
They need a vote. The fight is coming up next, and we need a fighter, I believe. So you can text in 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! And if you'd like to fight me, then text in your name and the word fight, and maybe you will fight me next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about the Schnucks Rewards program. It's better than ever because they're getting personal. At Schnucks, they've completely refreshed the rewards program to add more personalized touches with new perks just for you. And now you get personalized savings, which are basically custom deals on the items that you buy most. You'll also get personal double points days, so you can earn 4% back on your entire cart, and that is your entire cart. So for your big shopping day, rather than get 2% back on everything you spend, you can get 4% back. And if you want, you can get a free freshly baked donut on your birthday. Pretty cool deal. If you're already a member, you'll start seeing these benefits in your rewards app right away. And if not, now's the perfect time to sign up. Just download the Schnucks Rewards app to get started. And don't forget, just a few games left, but if the Cardinals hit a home run, the day after they hit a home run, you get donuts for dingers. It's a great program with the Schnucks Rewards app. Just check it out in the coupon and get your free donut when you go to Schnucks. Do all of your grocery shopping at Schnucks, and before you do, download the Schnucks Rewards app.
This is Rocky with your SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals get swept by the Blue Jays over the weekend. They'll try to get back over 500 as they face off against the Pirates in this next series. Paul Skeens is on the bump for the Pirates tonight, facing off against the Cardinals. Andre Palante. Palante on the season is 6-8. With a 4.13 ERA. Also over the weekend, big wins for your local college football teams as the Missouri Tigers get a win over ranked 27-21 or a ranked Boston College team by a score of 27-21. And then the Illini with another big win enter themselves into the rankings over the weekend as well. St. Louis City SC probably got bumped out of the playoffs, not officially, but the last chances are there as they fall 3-1 to Minnesota United, who going into the game was in the final playoff spot. That is your SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
Brooke, Randy, and Rockio here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Jack. Jack, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good.
Are you excited to face Randy in the fight?
Excited? Yeah, I guess.
Hesitant?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll see how this goes. It is Monday. He did leave with grapes in hand, so,
Love
the grapes really fire him up. Yeah. Are you ready for question number 1?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Who is the winningest coach in the Carolina Panthers franchise history? Is it John Fox, Ron Rivera, or Dom Capers?
Dom Capers.
What is the only major that Bryson DeChambeau has won? Is it the U.S. Open, the Masters, or the PGA Championship?
The U.S. Open.
Who is the only Expo National, to win an NL MVP award? Vladimir Guerrero, Tim Raines, or Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper.
And what was the only season award that Elgin Baylor ever won in his NBA career? Was that MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, or Rookie of the Year?
We'll go MVP.
All right, we'll double check the score. We'll bring in Randy Kerber.
Are you feeling a little bit better, Jack?
No, 3 of those for total guesses.
No. What is the sport that you were looking for?
Oh, it's all, it's random trivia, so I don't know anything about golf, though, so that was
the tough one.
Dart. That was a dart.
Yeah. Here's Randy. Right now, the grapes are gone. I don't even see the bag. You already got rid of the bag, too?
No bag's here.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I know that you left with a bag of grapes, but I didn't see the bag come back.
Yeah.
Randy, say hi to Jack.
Jack, good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Randy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ready for question number 1?
I am.
Who is the winningest coach in the Carolina Panthers franchise history?
Carolina Panthers history. I think it's almost got to be Ron Rivera. He was there for a long time, there longer than John Fox. Went to a Super Bowl, obviously, a couple of other playoffs. They've had Don Capers, they've had Fox, they've had Steve Wilkes as an interim. I'm going to go with Riverboat Ron Rivera.
I'm just trying to remind Carolina Panthers, there have been good years before. They're not going to be for a while, but it's happened before. What is the only major that Bryson DeChambeau has won?
Bryson DeChambeau. He doesn't have a green jacket. I think it might have been the U.S. Open. Wasn't the Open. PGA doesn't see. I think it was the U.S. Open. I'm going to go with that.
Final answer?
Yeah, guess so.
Okay, who is the only Expo/National to win an NL MVP award?
With the Expo/Nationals?
Yes.
Well, let's see. You had Vlad Guerrero. He won with the Angels. He may have won with the Expos. Oh, yeah, Bryce Harper. Sorry, Bryce Harper. So there you go. Final answer.
Randy, what was the only season award that Elgin Baylor ever won in his NBA career?
I will do the lifeline here, sir.
Was it MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, or Rookie of the Year?
I'll go with, just as an outlier, having no idea, I will go with Rookie of the Year.
Does Jack take down Randy Carrick? We have an outright winner in today's fight. Does Megamind start his week off with a victory, or does Jack spoil everybody's Monday? Except for his own, with a win in today's fight. Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Jack. Randy Carricker hit the jack, and he beat you 4-2 in today's fight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Jack.
Good job today, Jack. Let's go through the questions and the answers. The winningest coach in Carolina Panthers franchise history is, in fact, Ron Rivera. He's also the last coach to lead them to the playoffs. He did so in his second to last season, obviously, before he had some health problems and they eventually had to go different directions. But it's been 6 years since the Panthers have played in a playoff game. It's been, and it's obviously it's going to be 7 in probably 8 years because they're not going to the playoffs this season. So it's been a little bit rough for the Panthers. The last time it was good was Riverboat Ron. And also, I learned through this that Dom Capers back in the Panthers organization. He's been a defensive assistant the last 2 years after being their first ever head coach.
Cape.
We learned that when we were here in the break when we were double checking some things about Capers. The only major that Bryson DeChambeau has won, he has won 2 of them, and it was the 2020 and the 2024 U.S. Opens. The only Expo or National to win an NL MVP award, it was not Vladimir Guerrero who won his one MVP his very first year after leaving Montreal. It is, in fact, Bryce Harper. No Expo ever took away an NL MVP award. And there, Tim Raines was one of the other options I threw in there. He had some great seasons for them, but never took home an MVP award. And the only season award that Elgin Baylor ever won in his NBA career, considering or speaking of things that are a little surprising that no one took home MVPs, Elgin Baylor never won the MVP. He took home Rookie of the Year his rookie year, obviously. Here were the finishes for Elgin Baylor in MVP voting his first 6 years in the league. His rookie year, he finished 3rd in MVP voting, and he followed it up with 5th, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, and 6th. Wow. That was him in the MVP, but he never took one down. Also, despite the fact that he had seasons with 34, 38, and 34 points per game, he never won a season scoring title in the NBA as well, because there was some pretty big names also in the NBA there that were scoring well over 34 and 38 points. So a 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Jack, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show. He's off.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Next up, if Mizzou gets a chance to run it up against Vandy this weekend, should they take advantage of it? That's next on 101 ESPN. One of the cool things about Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and one of the things that's kept them in business for 56 years, is that everybody in the organization cares about the product that you purchase and that you have installed. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has their own professionally trained installation crews, their own trucks, their own tools, and they operate out of their own warehouse and their large showroom in Chesterfield Valley. And you can go and check out what they do in terms of fences and decks, sunrooms, screen rooms, pergolas, when you go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck in Chesterfield Valley. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Financing options are available. And right now, if you mention me that you heard about Chesterfield Fence and Deck on 101 ESPN, get 20% off your installed outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. I use them for my fence. You'll love them for anything you have done. Custom sunrooms and screen rooms, pergolas, patios. All you need to do is call 800-300-4054 or find them on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Make an appointment, and they will come on out to your home if you like and provide you a free, no-obligation project design. It's amazing what they do. Again, the website, chesterfieldfence.com, the number 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. If you played a close game at the top of the college football rankings this weekend, you probably fell. If you blew somebody out, you either stayed the same or moved up. Texas blew out Texas San Antonio, the vaunted Texas San Antonio club. 56-7 was the final. And with Georgia's slight 13-12 victory over Kentucky, Texas moves into the number 1 spot in the country, and Georgia falls to number 2. Alabama stays at number 4 with a 42-10 win over Wisconsin. Ohio State, number 3, didn't play this weekend. Ole Miss stays at number 5 with their 40-6 rout of Wake Forest. Mizzou edges 24th-ranked Boston College 27-21, and Tennessee moves past Mizzou with a 71-0 rout of Kent State. The Vols were up 65-0 at halftime. They executed an onside kick up 30-0 in the first quarter against Kent State. You're up 30-0 against Kent State in the first quarter, and you do an onside kick.
So, wait, what's the problem here, Randy?
The word cruel was used, and I think that's an apt description of it.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, at this point, don't you kind of like to see that? Why not run up the score?
No, let's see him do it against Alabama. Let's see him do it against Georgia.
Hey, if they do it against Alabama, they deserve to be, and Georgia, they deserve to be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Well, let's see him get up 30-0. Let's see Heupel get up 30-0 against
You think that sportsmanship matters anymore? Or does it actually truly matter?
Unfortunately, no, because you have people like Josh Heupel.
Well, and then it matters for rankings, too, because look at Ole Miss. It actually benefited them, too. There's a lot of teams, if they're running up the score, it's actually helping them. Now, you could argue, and just putting this out there, Tennessee also beat NC State the week prior. It is a little bit weird that they jumped ahead, leapfrogged Mizzou this week. I think it would have made a lot more sense last week to do so. But here's the thing. Rankings don't matter, Randy. They really don't matter that much. But you just don't like the sportsmanship of it. Why not be classy about it?
If rankings don't matter, why not be classy?
Yeah, I think because a lot of the teams do care about the rankings, probably.
Okay.
I'm talking about them specifically. I think that outside of it, I don't think it truly matters. I think this will all sort itself out, especially with Mizzou's schedule. If they can do what they need to and only have one loss against Alabama, maybe, then they should be fine. This will all even out. Then the rankings matter towards the end of the season, of course. But right now, things are always wonky. You're playing teams that don't really matter, these cupcakes, and then you run up the score. You just like the sportsmanship aspect of it.
Josh Heupel on running it up against an overmatched Kent State team.
The level of intensity your team showed up with tonight, what does that tell you about your group?
Consistent competitors, elite competitors. You're the same guy every single day. No matter who's in the stands, everybody 102,000 or nobody. Opponents nameless as faceless, being consistent in the way that we approach the game. We had a good start to the football game.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, good start.
Good start.
And a good finish. 71-0.
Yeah, really good. It's 71-0. So if Eliah Drinkwitz went out there and Mizzou and they put up 71 points, 71-0 against, say, Vandy or, another cupcake team. Well, Vandy's been a little bit better, but still not the best. The cupcake of the SEC. Would you have an issue with it?
I think you have to do it now. Would I have an issue if he did an onside kick against Buffalo or Murray State? Absolutely, I would. And he should be roundly criticized if he does that. To the credit of Heupel, he took his starters out at halftime.
He did.
So that worked. But, yeah, I think that there's a time and a place to run onside kicks and try to run it up. I don't think Kent State is the team to do it against.
Somebody said the onside kick was for practice from the 314.
Great. Okay, why didn't you practice it in practice?
You get that game reaction, Randy. That's what it is.
Do you think that Kent State presented much more?
No, they didn't pose any threat whatsoever.
Yeah, any more of a threat than the second team of Tennessee did on a typical practice day?
No, they did not pose much of a threat. But I think the point here is that if you're looking at running up the score or not, do you think that it matters when it comes to ranking, at least for the pollers and what they're looking at? Because I think that based off of this, it does.
Yeah, with this group, with the AP poll, it does.
It really does.
Once we get 6 weeks into the season and the committee that's looking at the 12 that are going to go into the playoff, they aren't supposed to look at blowouts. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be a negative when you blow out an overmatched opponent. But I don't think it will be.
No, it doesn't seem like it, especially in Tennessee and Ole Miss's case. Now, for Mizzou, for them to come back in that Boston College game was huge. We predicted it last week. We thought that this would be a very close game because of what Boston College has been able to do. And their quarterback over there, Thomas Castellanos, is so talented. And you saw early on there were some struggles and there were some personal mistakes that Mizzou had made in the game, but they were able to correct everything and come back. Defensively, I think this team is still really sound. I think the secondary is still kind of young, but that's something that they will continue to grow into as they go into SEC play. And then your wide receiver room is so talented. I think the only thing that maybe, if the voters are looking into this, is if they're looking at explosive plays, and that's also factoring into their ranking, because Nico Iamaleava, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Iamaleava. There you go. I was waiting for you to chime in with that one. Nico Iamaleava. Yes, that sounds correct, but would be a perfect name for the transfer portal. He's had a lot of explosive, deep passes down the field, and offensively for Mizzou, you're kind of still looking for that, but you really don't need to. If you just, get the ball to Luther, to Theo Wees, to Mookie, those guys are able to take off because the yards after catch, they are just so explosive.
And if they have the opportunity against Vandy to score 2 or 3 extra touchdowns, when if Clark Lee puts his reserves in, just run it up, because that's the way football go now.
So do you want Mizzou to run it up now? After seeing how the rankings are playing out, would you be okay with Mizzou running up the score?
Yeah, that's the way it's working. Yeah, so, yeah. I don't want an onside kick.
No, because, listen, Heupel's going to say that because he enjoys running up the score. He did it against Mizzou, which apparently didn't matter because the opponents have no face. So he's just he does it to everybody. And we rightfully have taken a couple pot shots for him about that one. So no, we'll go 11-1. Mizzou will go 11-1. They'll go 10-2. Take the shot in the playoffs without your style points. All righty there, champ.
Without your style
Have fun with your gaudy little checkerboard uniform. And by the way, last 10 years, your worst record than Mizzou as a football program. Just saying.
Wow, powerful stuff from you over there, Rocchio. Yeah, I think at this point,
I wish they were playing Tennessee. I wish Mizzou was playing Tennessee so much this year.
I do too.
My God.
I think that also Eli Drinkwitz, if you've heard him talk about Tennessee in general, they have a close relationship. He has said that he respects Josh Heupel a lot, but they also have a very nice budding rivalry that they've created. And when they put out the renderings too, I don't know if you noticed this, of the new stadium, they actually put up, it was the Mizzou-Tennessee score from last season that was on the scoreboard. So I like how this is like a rivalry. I feel like at this point, Tennessee, they need to play them every single season. Find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, if we're going to do a rivalry, have Tennessee be one of them. Although Tennessee has to have Alabama as one of their rivals, right? Who are the other big rivals for Tennessee besides Alabama? I guess it's not a rivalry if one team never wins.
You could argue it's about all the same ones. It's SEC teams.
All their other rivalries are in basketball, Randy. The sport they were good at for the most of the time.
Oh, man. Okay. Coming up, we've got our Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's Randy Carricker, and if it is that time that you need to sell your home, you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent. Well, take it from me and get to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria is going to make sure that you sell your home for the most money. That's important. And within your time frame, which is also important. For example, if you want to move because you're building a new home and you got to get out in a certain time frame, then Gloria Liu can help you out in that regard. But if you can take your time and wait for the best offer, you can do that too. As a matter of fact, Gloria Liu can set it up so that you can sell your home, get the cash, and stay in your home for a while. Give her a call at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit her on the web at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. And at the end of the day, Gloria is able to guarantee the sale of your home in writing because she already has buyers that have been developed over the course of her 20-year career. She's got a database of people looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. She does great work. It's Gloria Lou, 314-325-6888. Visit GloriaHasABuyers.com. As always, Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. To learn more, visit GloriaHasABuyers.com.
Capping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
9:07 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Cards start their last homestand of the season tonight at the ballpark, 6:45 against Pittsburgh, the opener of a 4-game series. Andre Palante going for the Cardinals. He'll be opposed by the Pirates' exciting rookie Paul Skeens. And the Cardinals will try to get back to the 500 mark after falling below 500 yesterday in a 3-2 loss to the Blue Jays. Miles Michaelis goes 5. He allows 2 runs on 3 hits, struck out 4, and didn't walk anybody. Michaelis' season ERA now at 5.49. Matz goes 2 scoreless innings. Kittredge with 2/3 of an inning. He allowed what turned out to be the winning run, and Jojo Romero goes 1/3 of an inning scoreless for the Cardinals, who get swept in Toronto.
Yeah, the story of the weekend was definitely the Cardinals' offense. Once again, I know that a lot of people are tired of hearing and talking about it, but that's been the story of the season, and honestly, an ongoing story for the Cardinals. They only scored a combined 7 runs in the 3-game series, and they went 2 of 27 with runners in scoring position. The situational hitting has just been such a struggle for them all year long. And you heard Ollie all weekend. He was struggling to once again find an answer to really figure out what's going on with this team offensively. They just cannot come up with runners in scoring position, and I don't know what that is. It has to be approach at this point. Either way, I think that you can't really say anything that makes people feel better about it because you're just seeing the result that's on the field. There just has to be changes this offseason.
Yeah.
The words have to match the actions.
Exactly. By the way, this might be this weekend at the ballpark, might be the last opportunity we have to honor an NFL team in St. Louis. It's the 25-year anniversary of the 1999 Greatest Show on Turf. Isaac Bruce's gala on Friday night is already sold out. You get an opportunity, though, to celebrate the 1999 Greatest Show on Turf at the ballpark on Saturday night. 19 players are going to be there, and you can join the celebration. There are special theme tickets for Isaac Bruce, Marshall Falk, and Torrey Holt. They're going to sign autographs at the Bud Terrace starting at 4 o'clock, and then you also can hear a Q&A with Mike Martz, Mike Jones, and Ricky Prohl, and that starts at 4:30. You can go to cardinals.com/greatest show on turf if you would like to join that celebration. And I really don't think, Brooke, that we'll have another celebration of an NFL team here in St. Louis after this one.
No, I'm really glad that the Cardinals are doing this, where you have a place here in St. Louis where those players can come back and be celebrated because they deserve it. Even though the team was taken away from St. Louis, was taken away from them too, that history, I think that it's great that the Cardinals are doing this to celebrate those guys. I mean, that group, having met a lot of them, especially Isaac Bruce, they're so nice. They always come back to St. Louis, do a lot of charitable efforts. That group is just so special, and we all know it, but just even off the field, they're a special group.
Yeah, and I would hope that those fans of that team can see past not going to a Cardinal game and just celebrate that team on Saturday.
Exactly. Also, the Cardinals announcing this weekend, too, that they're bringing back Big City this week. So they will have a pregame ceremony for Matt Adams. He will be retiring as a Cardinal. So he signed a one-day contract. He announced this weekend on social media that he's retiring. Now, Randy, I was kind of surprised because I was like, this is nice. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And social media, as Eliah Drinkwitz likes to say, is not a real place. But then I saw some of the comments where a lot of people are upset about it. Maybe they see this as saying, are this the Cardinals trying to draw fans in? By the way, this is happening on Wednesday. It's just going to be a really short retirement ceremony that they're doing pregame. You know, you've been a part of those before. So it's not anything that will take away too much time. Why not?
Exactly. Why not? People are looking for reasons to get mad and get outraged. What's wrong with honoring a player who loved being a Cardinal, was a big part of playoff teams, and has committed himself to staying in St. Louis? He's remained in St. Louis throughout his career. He lives here, and I have no problem with being nice to people. I don't know why people think it's such a bad thing to allow a player to celebrate his career and to celebrate it with him with a place that he loves.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that it is. It's just a little celebration. He wants to retire as a Cardinal.
Yeah, it's a real sad statement about society that people have the desire to be as angry as they are.
Yeah, and I think that social media is a way that people kind of misplace or project their anger. And I think what I gather is a lot of people are just thinking that it's the Cardinals trying to do something to get more fans in the building. I am curious, though. We've asked this many times before. This is your final homestand, correct, right now for the Cardinals. So they'll face the Pirates and then they'll face the Guardians. Do you think that more people will be coming because it's the final homestand of the season?
No.
Anything else that there's left to see?
I think people have seen this team. And, oh, by the way, Matt Adams might be listening. I hope he is. I'm a Matt Adams fan.
I am too.
And I think he did a lot of great things for the Cardinals. I don't think that he is going to move the needle from an attendance standpoint for the Cardinals. I don't think an extra 1,000 people are going to buy tickets because you're going to have a Matt Adams retirement ceremony. I wish that were the case. I would hope that would be the case, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, he deserves to be celebrated, but I don't think that it's a ploy to get fans in the building whatsoever. No. It's just honoring him.
There's Monday Night Football tonight here on 101 ESPN. Eagles and Falcons pregame at 6:30. And word this morning that Isaiah Pacheco, the running back for the Chiefs, expected to land on injured reserve after suffering a fibula injury yesterday against the Bengals. Apparently he's got a crack in that fibula, and so the Chiefs are going to be minus their most important running back for at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, you can hear Rocchio in the background, maybe, where he said, woof. That is the best way to describe it, because when it came to adding depth in the running back position, they didn't do that this offseason. So now you have Steele, and who's the other running back?
Perrine.
Yeah, so I don't know. The Chiefs always find a way, but that is a huge loss for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have much depth there at that position.
No, they need to find a free agent running back that'll... Is Le'Veon Bell still out there? They've had him once. Maybe.
That's a good question.
Is he boxing?
Is he
that's
boxing?
Right. He did do boxing.
What?
90% sure he's one of the guys who did boxing.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell is... You're right. How did I miss this?
Yeah, I don't know if he's...
Was it D'Angelo Williams, the other former NFL running back who's in the boxing?
I think so, yeah.
Was it D'Angelo Williams?
I missed this side quest. I don't know.
Calling it a side quest.
Yeah. I missed this chapter in his story somehow.
He fought Adrian Peterson. See, when Adrian Peterson had to fight somebody his own size and age, he lost.
I knew that there was going to be something coming about Adrian Peterson. He's boxing?
He can come back, yeah. That'd be a switch.
Well, no, Randy. Randy, no.
Okay, I'm just trying to find a running back for the
give Peterson
Chiefs.
a weapon next time.
There you go. That
That's
is
so
today's
bad.
Rush Hour Reset. Coming up, our buddy Chip Caray talking some Cardinal baseball here on 101 ESPN. want you to know about Mentality. You can get started at lowtusa.com. At Mentality, they're going to help you get back to your energy level that you experienced when you were in your 20s. It's because of testosterone. And guys, when you pass your 30th birthday, your testosterone level drops and your energy level drops. You might feel anxious. You might feel more stressed than you feel like you need to be. And that's because you just don't have the same chemical setup in your body that you used to have. At Mentality, they're going to bring you into one of their clinics, either Chesterfield or South County, and to do a complete panel on your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is. And then they're going to provide you with an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will get you back to where you want to be. And it just takes a couple of minutes every week to go in and get the shot and start to feel a lot better. It does make a big difference in your life, and you can start now. All you need to do is go to lowtusa.com. They'll work with your insurance company to reduce out-of-pocket expenses as much as possible, but you can reduce some of that fatigue, you can reduce some of that anxiety, and you can be a happier person when you go to Mentality at lowtusa.com. Tonight, you'll see the game on Bally Sports Midwest, and on the call will be new Parkway Hall of Famer Chip Caray, who joins us now here on 101 ESPN. The announcement made last week. Good morning, sir, and congratulations. How you doing?
Thanks. It's a real surprise for a straight C student. But as I say, Randy, grades aren't everything. So that was a nice honor, a nice surprise, and I appreciate your kind words.
Well, I actually went in a couple of years ago, Chip, and I used that very line. Clearly, academics have no necessity when you're entering the Parkway Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm living proof of that. So it's a very, very nice thing, and it's very kind of them to consider me.
Congratulations, and glad that somebody from the second best Parkway school is able to make their way
easy.
So last homestand of the year, I always like to ask the broadcasters this because it's been a rough season, although you make it happy. You have a good time with it. But has this season gone fast for you, Chip?
Yeah, it has. I think it's been fun. I mean, I think obviously the team's a lot better than it was last year, but not up to the standards any of us had hoped coming out of spring training. And certainly from an offensive standpoint, that's been the biggest head scratcher. I think this was a team we thought coming out of Jupiter was going to score 4 or 5 runs a game, and the pitching was going to be good enough, and the bullpen was going to be very good, and that's how the Cardinals were going to win a bunch of games. By and large, the starting pitching has done what I think they expected it to do. The bullpen's been spectacular. Defensively, they've played very well. They've had some young guys come up from the minor leagues and have big years. Mason Wynn and Alec Burleson to name a couple. But there weren't enough offensive contributions from enough guys, veterans and young players alike, to sustain what the Cardinals had hoped to accomplish this year. So that said, they've been better, but not good enough to get in the postseason this year. And I think that'll be the intriguing storyline of what happens not just on this homestand, but in the weeks ahead leading into the winter meetings in spring training 2025.
Chip, one of the stories from this weekend, which honestly has been the story of the season, even Ollie Marmol saying that during the series this weekend, the issues with runners in scoring position. They went 2 of 27 this past weekend. What else can you say about this team offensively and their struggles with situational hitting?
It's amazing. It's random. There was a couple of years ago, I think, where the Cardinals hit over 330 as a team with runners in scoring position. If there was a magic pill for it, everybody would take it and we wouldn't have to talk about it anymore. I guess on one side, if you want to look at the positive, they're getting the chances, Brooke. The other side of it is they're not cashing them in. And when you look at baseball today and the way it's played, it's not just getting a hit with runners in scoring position, it's slugging with runners in scoring position. I looked up the number at the start of the Toronto series. With runners in scoring position this year going into the series north of the border, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Wilson Contreras had a combined total of 17 hits, extra base hits, that is, with runners in scoring position. 17 total for those three guys. Those are your big run producers. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 17 by himself for Toronto. So when you look at a reason why a team isn't scoring, when your big guys don't slug in big spots in the ball game, you're going to struggle to score runs, or you settle for 1 or 2 when you need 4 or 5. And I think if you had to put a finger on one storyline offensively for the Cardinals this year, that would be the one.
Andre Pallante goes for the Cardinals tonight against Paul Skeens. In your opinion, has Pallante cemented a spot in the rotation for 25?
I think he's got a great shot at it, and I think if the Cardinals want to get where they want to go, this is more of what they need of. Look, the problems that the Cardinals are dealing with at the major league level are organizational in scope, right? And if you want to win, if you want to win consistently, you have to develop your own pitching. It's the most expensive thing to go out and purchase because everybody's trying to get it. And guys like Pallante, who are homegrown, come out of your system, give you innings, give you results, and give you a chance to win, are almost invaluable. And I think Andre's done a terrific job of altering his routine, altering his pitch mix, altering the way he attacks right-handed hitters, and he's given himself a great leg up to be a part of the Cardinals rotation next year. Is he an ace? Is he a number one guy? No. But is he a guy that you can count on every fifth day to give you a chance? I think the answer to that is yes, and you can make the case that since July 1st, he's been the best Cardinal starter.
What have you thought of Thomas Saggese? Obviously, we're getting some of the younger players more playing time here, Thomas Saggese being one of them. What have you seen from him offensively and defensively?
Yeah, offensively, he swings the bat. He's not afraid. He takes a hack. He's got an idea up there. He's got a nice inside-out swing. He's trying to hit the ball to right field every now and then. He showed a little power up in Toronto. Look, he's growing, and it's a different level. And like most players, he's going to have to catch up to the league. You just don't want to see him get overmatched, and I don't think we've seen that in any way, shape, or form from him. And defensively, Brooke, I think that's really been the most surprising part. The scouts that I talked to wondered what his position would be, and would he be adequate enough as a defender. He's made all the plays, a couple of them spectacular for the Cardinals. And, again, I don't know if he's going to be an everyday player, but for me, he kind of reminds me of Bo Hart when he came up a few years ago, right? Made all the plays at second base, was kind of a spark plug, a guy that everybody in the stands kind of roots for and gets behind, and the results for Bo Hart spoke for themselves, and maybe that'll be the case for Saggese here over the final 2 weeks.
Chip, one other thing I would like to see, and Jordan Walker has an 840 OPS this month so far, I would like to see him get as many at-bats as possible, and if that includes moving him up in the lineup a little bit, I'm fine with that, just so that he can get the most out of the opportunity of these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you can make that case. He's going to play every day for the most part. There'll be a scheduled day off here and there. And I think with Jordan, the OPS is great. I just, he's hitting mistakes. Let's be honest. Jordan's hitting mistakes. He's not hitting, fastballs in the outside corner. He's not, laying off that slider quite enough yet. I think that's still problematic for him. He had the 5-hit game at Yankee Stadium. The breaking ball he hit out in Toronto was a mistake. And that's in no way, shape, or form to diminish his contributions. I'm not saying that. But I want to see him start hitting and driving balls that aren't mistakes, driving the ball to right center, hitting it hard. A lot of the balls are coming off his bat with clockwise spin, just sort of floating out to the outfield. When Jordan Walker is right and he really starts to command that outer half of the plate, he's going to hit bullets the other way, like the double in Toronto. More of that would be nice instead of the little flares and the hangers that big league players are supposed to do damage on. Give him credit for that, but I think he's still a ways away from where both he and the Cardinals need him to be.
So I saw this weekend in Toronto that Katie Wu of The Athletic and Alexa Datt with Valley Sports Midwest did something very brave where, I don't know exactly what you call it, but over at the tower, basically, where they're kind of hanging off the edge. Chip, where were you?
I'm scared. Luckily, they sold out. Katie and Alexa are such great friends. We have such a blast with them on the road. The CN Tower, I think, is 1,600 feet above the surface streets of Toronto. And you go up the big giant elevator and you put on a parachute suit and they strap you into the harness and you get to walk around held up by a guide wire and walk the perimeter of the CN Tower high above the ballpark and high above Toronto. They did a great job. It looked like a lot of fun. And luckily we don't go back next year. I've got 2 years to muster my courage just to go with them as I promised on the air. So they're a lot braver than we are. And they did a great job and had a blast with it. It was a lot of fun to see them do that.
And that's 1,000 feet taller than the arch.
Yeah, it's a ways up there. It is a ways up there. I mean, you get kind of seasick just standing on the field and looking at the top of that thing. It's imagine the Space Needle in Seattle times about 10, and that gives you a perspective of how big that place is in Toronto. And by the way, they did a phenomenal job with their ballpark and revamping it and refurbishing it. Aruna Karunaratne, who came from Toronto, is now in St. Louis as the vice president of business operations. He had a big hand in those Rogers Center's renovations and making that ballpark more up to date for its next 20, 25-year-old lifespan. Whatever plans the Cardinals have for the ballpark, if a Nook can match that here in St. Louis, I think Cardinals Nation will be really, really happy.
No doubt about it. Hey, Chip, before we let you go, last homestand, can anybody surpass Chip Caray in Papa Shot in the TV booth in this last week? Or do you have it won?
I'm low man on the totem pole. You're welcome to come up and challenge the booth champion. Katie Wu's actually the booth champion, if you can believe that. Katie's I think got 56 points. I think she's the record. If you'd like to come in, you're more than welcome, Randy, anytime. It's an open invitation. Brooke, you too. We take on all comers up there because we like to have fun before and after the game. So we hope you'll join us.
All right, we'll see you over there. Hey, have a great one tonight. We'll be tuned in. Thanks, Chip.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Have a good week.
You too. Take care. That's our buddy Chip Caray, a new Parkway Hall of Famer. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
But you went to the best Parkway, didn't you?
Parkway North, yeah. Well, me and John Kelly and Steve Savard and Andy Strickland. Yeah.
Those are good name drops.
Yeah, totally.
And Chip went with who?
He's a Parkway West guy.
Remember
Stone Phillips? He was Stone Phillips from NBC was a Parkway West person. So Blaine Gabbert, Parkway West.
There you go.
So, yeah. Tyler Gabbert.
It seems kind of close, even though I think that you might be a front runner because of Parkway North.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Metro Boomin, right?
Oh, yeah, Metro Boomin, Parkway North, yeah.
In my eyes, Randy, then Metro Boomin from Parkway North. We're looking at the alumni list.
I don't know if Patrick Carricker has many regrets, but he was buddies with Metro Boomin in high school. They graduated together, and Patrick, at one point during his senior year, said, hey, I want to be your agent. And Metro Boomin said, yeah, okay. But he's not.
I was going to say. I was like, is Bally a side gig for him? And you're just now telling me that he works for Metro Boomin?
He could have. He just didn't take advantage of the opportunity.
Patrick's going to be at this on the sideline for the Super Bowl halftime show this next year. All right, great. That'll be fun.
Next up, NFL highlights and lowlights from week 2, Sunday of week 2, next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking for a great place for lunch today, maybe a great happy hour after you play some golf, or maybe dinner to watch Monday Night Football and watch the Cardinal game, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. You need to stop by there and say hi to the great crew that they have on hand. This afternoon, you can say hi to the feisty redhead Kelly. Megan will be there. I think Casey works some Mondays, maybe not today. But when you go in, you're going to enjoy great service, and you'll enjoy great food. Try their chicken Caesar wrap. That's probably my favorite thing on the menu, aside from, of course, the best wings you'll ever have. The trashed wings at Fenton Bar and Grill are to die for. They're absolutely fabulous. Try them with their signature golden sauce or ranch, and you'll have a great start to a great meal. At this time of year, it's always good to get a nice fresh salad, and you can get that at the Fenton Bar and Grill. And, of course, the sports. You're going to be talking sports with the other people that are there. You're going to be watching sports, and you're just going to have a great time at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It's only 2 minutes from the soccer park, and if you're looking for a great place to have a meal or just to have some fun and a cold one, stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill and tell them Randy sent you.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love being a member of the Missouri Athletic Club. It's because it really feels like I've joined a community, whether it's going to the downtown location where they host so many great events like Randy Kerber, where he got inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. It was such a wonderful evening over there. Or going over to the West location where I love to have lunch, maybe get a buffalo chicken wrap, play some tennis in their indoor courts. They also have pickleball over there too that you can play. It always feels like I've just joined such a fun community. Everybody is so welcoming. They provide a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals swept by the Blue Jays over the weekend as they fall below 500. They'll have a 4-game series against the Pirates to get back over that threshold. It's a 6:45 first pitch tonight for Game 1. Paul Skeens faces off against Andre Palante. Skeens on the season 10-2 with a 2.10 ERA. Missouri Tigers get a big win over at time ranked Boston College 27-21, and they move down in the rankings to number 7 after that victory. On the other hand, Fighting Illini continue their strong start to the season, and they are now in the top 25, ranked at number 24. Not such a great weekend, though, for St. Louis City SC as they fall down in the playoff rankings again as they fall to Minnesota United 3-1. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Time for some NFL highs and lows here on 101 ESPN. And Brooke, in that 41-10 Arizona win over the LA Rams, the Arizona defense, and Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator of a Philadelphia Super Bowl team, they allowed only 245 yards, and many of those yards, nearly 100 for the Rams, were picked up in garbage time. The defense was very good. They allowed only one touchdown in 10 Rams drives, and even though Matthew Stafford was able to get some yards through the air, the Rams only had 53 yards on the ground. Now, are the Rams decimated on the offensive line? Yes. But if you play an NFL game and allow only 53 yards on the ground and only allow 2.7 yards per rush, you have a great opportunity to win the game. And that's exactly what Arizona did. They raced out to a quick start. They outscored the Rams in every quarter, the Cardinals did, and they win it by a score of 41-10. And their defense, even though they scored 41 points, the defense was the story of the day.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's also my NFL highlight, is that Kyler Murray finally did his job and he got the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Here is the sound from the second touchdown of the day.
Murray on the rollout, looking deep for Harrison! Marvin Harrison Jr. to the end zone! Touchdown again!
It was so good because finally, after everything that happened in week 1, where you're wondering if Kyler Murray knew that Marvin Harrison Jr. was a top 5 pick, did he know that or not? Who knows? And where he said, he had that quote that we, of course, talked about where he said, it's not exactly my job to get him the ball. It is your job. He's talented. I felt like those first 2 touchdowns really showcase how talented Marvin Harrison Jr. is and why you need to get him the ball. That first touchdown, I felt like really showcased his grace and feel. And the second one displayed his terrific speed and explosion that he's able to have there. So good things will happen if he gets him the ball.
That's all you need to do. Get the ball in his hands, and you've got a chance.
Yes.
So, a little fella. And he did a good job of...
Why did you have to add the little fella?
Well, because he has trouble seeing over the offensive line. He needs to get outside the pocket. If Kyler is going to succeed...
Which he did. Yeah. He did a great job of that.
Yep. Brooke, I have a low light for you.
Okay.
The New York Giants made NFL history, and not in a great way. They became the first team in their 21-18 loss to the Commanders to score 3 touchdowns without allowing any, and still lost the game. They scored 3 touchdowns, tried 2-point conversions on each of them, and failed. So they scored 18 points. Washington got 7 field goals from Belleville West's Austin Siebert, including the overtime winner, and they win it 21-18. So the Giants score 3 touchdowns, don't allow any touchdowns, and lost the game.
How is that even possible?
I think their coach might be in trouble.
I think that he is. I think that Jay Bowl will be fired soon. How soon do you think?
I don't know when their bye week is, but maybe at the bye week. And I don't know that their staff really lends itself to having a great interim either. That's another problem, is so many coaches are insecure and don't hire a staff with people that are capable of replacing them. And I get the sense that the Giants are in that boat right now.
And that boat is sinking, and they need to do something.
The ship, it be a sinking.
Yes, it is. So my low light for the week, here's the thing.
Week 11 is the bye week, by the way, for the Giants.
Week 11?
That's too late.
That's too late. They need to do it sooner.
It does come after a game against the Carolina Panthers, though.
Oh. Could you imagine if they lose that one? We were discussing this. This isn't my NFL low light, but the Panthers are just so hard to watch, and so is Bryce Young. Do you think that he would thrive in a different organization, or with him being, once again, you talked about a little fella with Kyler Murray, at least he can move very quickly outside the pocket. Bryce Young just looks like he is absolutely struggling, and I don't know if it's also him, but also the organization, if he was in a different situation, if he would do better as a quarterback. I don't know really what to make of it.
I think it starts at the top with Carolina. Their owner's very
Tepper.
Impatient and has shown himself to not really have a great knowledge of the sport. And Bryce Young certainly doesn't have the athleticism of Murray. He can't run outside the pocket like Kyler Murray could. Now, people said that Bryce Young was a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. I never saw that at Alabama, and I certainly don't see it now. I think that was just another bad move by an NFL team. I think they've gotten so enamored of the smaller guys, they don't recognize the value of size at the quarterback position. Just being able to see over the line of scrimmage with offensive and defensive linemen is really important.
Everybody's looking for the next Drew Brees.
Yeah, no doubt. And
That's what they're looking
one of those
for.
Guys.
Yeah, only one. All right, so my low light, I hate that we have to talk about this again with the Titans and Will Levis doing something silly or gooberish is the best way that I put it once again. But if you saw this weekend, let's talk about week one first. He threw that late pick six. We talked about that. That was also my low light last weekend. But then this weekend, it was even worse in a lot of different ways because the Titans were leading 7-0 in the second quarter. Tennessee was threatening to take a 2-score lead, but then Levis does this.
Spears in there, 3rd and goal. Levis looking. Levis tripped. He tried to shovel it. That ball is free, and the Jets have it.
So Levis flips it backwards, and it was a Jets fumble recovery. It was just such a bad moment to see there because what in the world was he doing? And it was confusing because you know how we always talk about with people in general where it's like you have a devil and you have an angel on your shoulder where they're both talking to you and you should probably listen to the angel. It's almost like Will Levis has two devils on his shoulders right now in year 2, and he's just listening to both of them because I don't know what you're thinking in that situation.
He's playing like, well, he's not even playing like a rookie. He's playing like a guy who just has no clue how to play the position. He needs to develop, and I don't know if he developed this, poise.
Yes, poise, and also it comes into question his IQ, quarterback IQ.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I did find out this morning, the Titans offensive line is allowing the most collective pressures in football through 2 weeks, but you're also not making things easier on your team when you're pressing too much there in that situation because he stepped up through the pocket to avoid a sack, but then he tripped, and then he panicked. If you watch that video, just please go watch it if you want to have like a good laugh or, cry laughing at my expense. But he panicked, and in that situation where you panic, I think really shows who is a really good quarterback and who is not a good quarterback. And in 2 situations now where he's panicked, he has shown that he doesn't have great decision making in those really tough moments. And Callahan didn't hold back in his post-game comments about it.
I was upset. It was dumb. It was the same exact thing he did last week, and he cost us points in the red zone. And that is what it is. He's a grown up and he knows better. And so, I was really irritated that he cost us 3 points in a game that we probably needed it.
What was his answer to that question?
You'll have to ask him what the answer was. He didn't have an answer in the moment. I think he was just mad. But we tried to come back and rally. I mean, those things happen in football games, good things, bad things. I'll get mad at him. He'll get mad at me, whatever. It's the way it goes. But yeah, this was really kind of an inexcusable mistake.
You could definitely tell on the sidelines that Callahan was pretty mad at him. It doesn't take a advanced lip reader to tell what exactly he was saying to Will Levis on the sidelines. If you go back and watch that video. But I like his honesty there. It was a dumb move. 2 weeks in a row that you have a dumb play that really costs your team.
Yeah, you've got to get better play out of that position. And by the way, that's one of the reasons that Brian Callahan was brought in, was to improve. He's an offensive coach. He was brought in to improve the quarterback play.
Yep, and it has not worked out.
Not great. So, Brooke, let me go back to the Giants for 1 second, okay? They play at Cleveland this week, presuming they lose that, and then a Thursday night game against the Cowboys to start off 0-4. And by the way, there's only 2 teams in the league with a worse point differential than the Giants, the Panthers and the Rams. But if the Giants are 0-4 after a Thursday night, let me throw this out to you. Would you do this if you were John Mara and Steve Tisch? Would you fire Daboll and fire Joe Shane, the general manager, and bring in Belichick? Former Giants defensive coordinator.
Yes, I could see them doing that, but will Bill Belichick want to?
This has been Bill Simmons' pet theory since the offseason HBO thing came out, and you saw the owner basically say, I'm going to be really mad if I lose Saquon Barkley, and then they did to the Eagles, and he specifically said, don't do that. And so Simmons has been on the they're firing everybody train since that hit in the summer, and his entire thing has been Bill Belichick makes his triumphant return as the New York Giants head coach.
So do it after a Thursday night loss to Dallas. Give yourself a week and a half, and let Belichick have the control that he desires, and everybody will be happy for at least for a while in New York.
At least for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ever fully happy.
And he's got an ex-girlfriend in Jersey too.
Yeah,
the one that he sent the cash to in the shoebox.
He has a young girlfriend now.
Oh yeah, he does have another one. Yeah, with the video.
Wasn't she like a former Patriots cheerleader, or am I just
that's
imagining
right. No, that's
that?
right. Yeah. I don't know if she was a Patriots cheerleader, but yeah, the one that he helped her with her homework.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was great. All right, so those are NFL highlights and lowlights on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got Cardinal tickets for you, and we've got Rocc Roll here on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Blue Jays sweep the Cardinals in Toronto. Miles Michaelis charged with 2 runs and 3 hits in 5 innings. He walked none and struck out 4. But the Cardinals offense struggled all weekend. They scored a combined 7 runs in the 3 games, going 2 of 27 with runners in scoring position. The loss dropped the Cardinals below 500 for the season at 74-75 with 13 games left to play. The Cardinals are back in town with the 4-game series against the Pirates starting tonight with Andre Palante on the mound and Paul Skeens for the Pirates. First pitch is at 6:45.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, you need to make sure that your drain systems at home are in good shape, and that's why you need to get in touch with Hoffman Brothers at 314-664-3011 or on the web at hoffmanbros.com. They're an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, but they also do drain systems, and at Hoffman Brothers, they know that over time there can be accumulated debris, and that'll cause water to drain slowly or completely block your drain system. Getting your sewer lines and drains checked regularly is important. Hoffman Brothers offers sewer and drain services from sewer repairs and drain cleaning, full sewer line replacements, sewer lining, and more. Call to schedule today, 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011. And if you are a plumber that's looking for work, well, Hoffman Brothers is hiring, and they have fantastic benefits. They have company-provided iPads with cellular data package. They have a company-provided work van. They have cell phone reimbursement, paid training, year-round work. It's family-friendly, sports-friendly, and you'll love working with them. Get in touch with Hoffman Brothers about working for them at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, hoffmanbros.com.
and roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
All right, we got stuff.
Ooh,
We got stuff. We've
And
got
things.
Blues and Brews. Training camp starts Thursday. Blues and Brews is Friday, and you can join 101 ESPN for Blues and Brews on Friday night at Anheuser-Busch and get ready for the blues season. It's an outdoor street party that features live music from country music star Matt Stale. And from the Charles Glenn Band.
My favorite part.
Plus appearances by Shenner and Nabes and Bucci and Banzi and other blues players. Tickets are on sale now. Blues and Brews, refreshed by Bud Light and 101 ESPN. Find all the details now at 101ESPN.com. Hope to see you there on Friday. I will be there. Plus, we have your chance right now to score a pair of tickets to Saturday's Cardinals game against the Guardians. The game features a special hat giveaway celebrating the greatest show on turf, and a bunch of the greatest show on turf guys will be there to be introduced before the game. You'll have Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt and Marshall Falk and Adam Timmerman and more. All you need to do to get all the details for Saturday's special Greatest Show on Turf theme night at cardinals.com/theme. Just go to cardinals.com/theme. But you can answer a question right now. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO for your chance to win free tickets to Saturday's Cardinals game. Matthew, do you already have a question available?
I already have a question available. Randy, I know we're doing 1999 Rams trivia here. So, I mean, obviously you would have questions available, but I did have one because this is honestly one of my favorite ones. I don't think we actually used it on the fight before. It's one of my favorite ones. But London Fletcher, according to Pro Football Focus's stats, London and Fletcher did not lead the 1999 St. Louis Rams in combined tackles. Who did?
I think that's a great question.
Thank you very much, Randy.
Good. I would have said...
This is the last name I guess when I list off the 1990 Rams defense, by the way. I always forget this guy. I don't know why, but I do.
Okay, then I think I know who it is.
I think is that what tipped you off? Me saying this is the guy I always forget. I don't know how I always forget this guy. I forget this guy every single time. But yeah, text in and see if you can get those tickets to the Cardinals games by listening. Who on the Pro Football Reference is listed as the 1999 Rams leader in combined tackles?
All right,
He's actually a leader in solo tackles too.
With Rocc Roll, what do you got?
I can't help it. I'm almost completely just back into being a complete NFL nerd. They won me over, and I'm sad about that, but it's also a lot of fun. And while we were throwing out some of the highlights and lowlights and talking about the NFL, I came across this stat yesterday, and I thought this was fascinating. The New Orleans Saints passed the ball 16 times yesterday in their domination of the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, when you run the ball, that helps. They had 3 total dropbacks. Every other pass came out of play action or some kind of quick action to get the ball out of Derek Carr's hands. And Brandon Thorne, actually, who's an NFL writer, came out with a great video breakdown on Twitter earlier this morning where he showed the 3 times they weren't in play action where it was just a straight drop back, and the Cowboys immediately were in the backfield, getting by multiple Saints offensive linemen. And it just shows me what Clint Kubiak is doing for the Saints over the last 2 weeks. Coaching matters, especially in these first couple of weeks. We a lot of the texters, I know there's a Colts fan texter who's very angry about their defense right now after getting walked on by the Green Bay Packers. And another thing that jumped out to me is just how incredible the Vikings defense has been. Obviously, they lost a first-round cornerback to a tragic car accident. They've lost a lot of big names, but yet Brian Flores is scheming the living hell out of that Vikings defense. And these Saints numbers jumped out to me. It's just, man, good coaches are a huge factor, and you see early on in the NFL, good coaching is winning football games and bad coaching is costing teams wins. Just look at the Giants. Where's your backup kicker, you morons?
Moron.
Moron.
Yeah, that's right. It's really bad. It's how can you allow Graham Gano to try to chase down a return man? If nothing else, tell Gano don't run. Okay, just that's pretty simple. Now, you had a kicker on the practice squad that you could have called up, but there were so many things you could have done. Tell him not to run. Have the punter kick off. It would have been easy. There were a lot of things that Brian Daboll could have done that he didn't. And then somebody asked him about if he's worried about his job security. A New York writer. Did you see that? And he tried to stare him down.
It wasn't even that scary of a stare down.
No, it wasn't.
No. If I'm being honest.
Dan Campbell would be a much scarier stare down.
Yeah, I was going to ask, who would be the best at a stare down in the NFL out of all the head coaches?
Oh, Campbell would be very high on that list.
Yeah.
Harbaugh probably would.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim, of course. Dable doing it's like, oh no. Am I supposed to shudder when Pooh Bear stares at me hard? What are we doing here?
Have you ever been stared at by a pumpkin?
It's like when Matt Patricia was trying to look different. Sorry, was Pooh Bear too mean?
This poor man, he can't win, and you guys are calling him Pooh Bear?
We have a winner on our tickets, by the way. Randy, what is your guess on the trivia question?
I'll go with Keith Lyle.
It's not Keith Lyle. It's Billy Jenkins.
Yeah, okay.
I always forget about. He's the one I come to last when I get through. Going through that defense, it's especially when we talk about guys who actually started every single game for the Rams that year. It's Billy Jenkins. He finished with 96 combined tackles, 74 solo tackles. Both of those led the 1999 St. Louis Rams. Billy Jenkins for your Rams, and he just he really did not build on that after the success of the 1999 season. He did not do much after that.
The opener of 2000 was not kind to Billy Jenkins Jr. because he was the victim of the Torrey Holt Azakim down the sideline.
Oh, he was. I forget. Yeah, because he leaves and goes to he leaves the next year and goes to the Broncos. Jeez,
not great.
Wait, quick question for you guys.
Yes,
Randy. He started 16 games for the Rams that year. He started 16 games for the Broncos the next season and started one more game in his whole career.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quick question for you guys. Okay, Mike McCarthy, is his job safe with the Cowboys?
I think for the year it is, but I don't think that. Long term, it is, and I.
Would Bill Belichick go to Dallas before he'd go to the Giants?
I don't know that Jerry Jones would give up the sort of power that Bill Belichick desires.
But if you're Bill Belichick, do you want to deal with Daniel Jones as your quarterback?
I would rather deal with Daniel Jones as my quarterback than Jerry Jones as my owner.
Okay.
So
I don't know. I'm still kind of bought in on the Cowboys theory.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
I think it would be great TV, by the way. Those two battling it out at press conferences.
It'd be wonderful, yeah. How about BB to Jacksonville? That's when Michelle Smallman brought up this morning on Unsportsmanlike. Replacing, going to Trevor Lawrence.
That. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Giants or Cowboys would be... He's looking for.
I need the Jaguars to have more off the beat path coaches. Like Tom Coughlin just doesn't. It fits, but it just seemed wrong when he went back there.
Yeah. We'll know soon enough.
Yeah.
Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rockett. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good, and we hope you did too. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a fabulous Monday, St. Louis.